This is sick. Put this to music. I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Welcome back to the Giant Overreaction Week 15 edition. We went out there and we got that dub for the whole nation, man. Shout out to the Giants gang. Shout out to the family, man. Shout out to everybody that was front and center at that game, man. It was a freezing cold game, man, but definitely worth it with the New York Giants win, man. First off, I want to start the show off right off the bat, sending a major shout out to the homie Chris Peace, man. We got to hang out during the game. We tailgated, we drank good, we ate good, man. We enjoyed that game. We chopped it up even afterwards. Big shout out to his fam that was in the building too, man. His young boy definitely knows some football, man. We was chopping it up, talking it up. And it was great to go out there, man, and see the New York Giants take care of business in this one. It was 20-12 in the rematch. What was my man, the Beard, calling this one? The flex at FedEx. Yeah, the Giants definitely took care of business in that one. Big shout out to the Beard one time for setting me up, getting this stream proper for y'all today too, man. We didn't do a Giant Overreaction yesterday because we was just a little bit gassed out. We was a little bit worn out from the tailgate and whatnot, man. I got some great Victory Monday rest, man. I literally was like in bed for the whole day, man, just chilling. Had a real good time at the game, man. And seeing it up close and personal like that is very different than watching the game from your TV. I did get to go back, go over the game a little bit, saw the highlights, rewatched a lot of the key moments and whatnot. And just being there was just so different. So I did want to start the show off right before I get to a couple of shout outs and whatnot. I wanted to show y'all two plays, if you haven't seen them yet, from my Twitter that I captured. We were sitting in the Washington end zone, and I got a real nice dart from Daniel Jones to Isaiah Hodgins, and I got the first early Saquon touchdown. So I want to start the show off by just showing y'all a couple of these clips real quick.
Nope. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It was definitely extremely live in the stadium. A lot of people showing a lot of love on Twitter with those clips, man. Those things have gone around. They got about like 30K on them. And a lot of people were saying, it sounds like they were a little bit overwhelmed with the Giants fans in the building in there, man, because we were definitely loud. And Washington Commanders fans were definitely loud. It definitely had that playoff atmosphere that me and the Beard was talking about on Thursday's show, man. And it was just, it's a great game as a New York Giants fan, as long as I've been a fan, especially through these past 5 years. Struggling to be at a big game like that where we could walk away with the victory. Now, it wasn't all 112. It wasn't all peaches and cream and whatnot. There was some good, there was some bad in this game as well. The offense did come out and kind of struggle a bit throughout this game, but I feel like when they needed to make the big plays, that's exactly what they did. So before we get into this game, let's send some big shout outs to the gang one time, because I know everybody's happy, man. Hope y'all enjoyed y'all Victory Monday and got to chill out. And I know y'all feeling good on this Tuesday afternoon, man. It was just a whole entire vibe this whole entire week. I told the Beard, man, I was confident. I was confident going into this game, and I thought we were going to walk away with the victory. So, big shout out to the Giants. Big shout out to the coaching staff, all the players out there grinding, man, and all the depth pieces that are stepping in and really making it happen for the New York Giants, man, and just, finding a way to win these games, man. And I feel like if we have a running game, we can pretty much have a shot against most teams. I will say that. When the running game is going and Saquon Barkley is moving, the Giants got a good shot, and that defense showed up in this game as well, too. So big shout out to them as well. But let's get to the chat one time. I see the homie J-Mo was in the building one time. First, what's poppin', J-Mo? I hope the health is on the up and up. I know your Dallas Cowboys took a loss this past Sunday and whatnot. Real tough one to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to the Beard who called that one, too. I think he got a little bit lucky, but he definitely did call that. But I hope you're doing well, Jameson. Crypto Moves is in the building one time. He said, what a win. KT number 5 beat the Commanders single-handedly. Directly responsible for a 12-point swing, his fumble recovery touchdown and touchdown-saving tackle versus Heineke. Yeah, and not enough people are talking about the touchdown-saving tackle where Heineke ran for about maybe like 8 or 9 yards on that one. And Kayvon Thibodeau, he met him right at the goal line. Kind of reminded me of Becky O'Shea, the icebox meeting, your boy Spike at the goal line one time. That was a major play right there. I think that's going a little bit overlooked. Shout out to Michael Knight, man, who hit me up in my DM, wanted to make sure I was good to go. Woke up a little congested yesterday, and I know it takes good effort. I don't want to show up, come to the job and be, half ready or, having the half of what we normally have on this show. So I want to be a little bit prepared for this one. But shout out to Michael Knight for checking on me, hitting me up in the DM. Big salute, fam. SHU Carter in the building. He says, authentic, big dog shit. Yeah, that's exactly what I was tweeting all last week, too, because I felt like Saquon had some big runs in that game, even though we ended up with a tie 2 weeks ago, actually, not last week. But in this one, against the Commanders in this rematch, man, Saquon really showed up. SHU Carter says, energy from KT and the defense got us that win. 1,000%, man. That defense was out there making plays. We're definitely going to get to that, man. I got a couple of unsung players I want to bring some attention to on today's show as well. Shout out to Jay Jean one time in the building. Jay Jean says, will there be drama amongst the AATB faithful ready for this live stream? I know that's right. Sakpa says, Jay Jean, hope all is well on this Tuesday afternoon. We about to get to it. Ray W is in the building one time, says, oh boy, this is going to be good. Yeah, this is going to be a nice, tight show. We're going to get into, instant reaction kind of vibes, talk about a couple of overreactions as well. And then don't forget, tonight we're going to be doing the Tuesday recap in depth for the whole NFC East. We know a lot going on. Jalen Hurts dealing with that injury. Dallas Cowboys took that L to the Jacksonville Jaguars, so there's a lot of moving parts here, even though with the win by the Giants, the Cowboys did clinch a playoff spot. So a lot going on in the NFC East. So make sure we're going to try to make this one about a good 2 hours. I'm trying to be a little bit more accurate with my estimations. And tonight, y'all know how we're going to do. We're going to definitely go in depth. So make sure y'all pull up for that one as well. Shout out Kevin the PRF one time in the building. So happy to be here on this wonderful, that was still some BS Tuesday. I know you feeling that way. We definitely going to talk about that. The referees were definitely an issue in this game. I'd say on both sides, not just favoring the Commanders. I know the last two ones were pretty egregious and a lot more looking like they could have saved the game for the Commanders and extended y'all opportunities there at the end of the game. But the referees, I will say they got in the way a little bit, but we're going to talk about that a bit. Fabian is in the building. Shout out to Fabian one time. I see Kai001 is in the building one time. He said, thank you, Daniel Jones, for sending my Cowboys back to the playoffs. Yeah, you got to thank Daniel Jones, and you got to thank Kayvon Thibodeau and the rest of that defense as well. Saquon Barkley, these wide receivers as well. Everybody showed up in a major way. It was cold. It was extremely cold out there, man. I don't know how they even had the little bit of passing attack that they had, because I was just standing in the stands, and I was very well equipped for this weather, very layered up. I had on the snow boots, bunch of layers, hoodies, crew necks, hats, hand warmers, all that stuff. And by the third quarter, I was definitely, feeling that cold, breaking through the jeans a little bit, breaking through the boots. And, some hot chocolate definitely saved myself, the beard, my girl, his girl. We definitely got saved by some hot chocolate one time. And it was cold. I don't know how Daniel Jones and Taylor Heineke were throwing the ball out there as much as they were. But shout out to Kai one time in the building. Carl Wilkinson is in the building one time. He says, let's see what the beard has to say. Yeah, we're going to see tonight. I was going to invite him on for this show, but I figure, we'll get the celebration vibes out the way early on today. I definitely wanted to pull up, show some love to y'all. Y'all always here every stream. So, I try to be dedicated and try to, show y'all some love, especially after a victory. We got to get this Victory Tuesday out the way. Victory Monday went by pretty fast for me. I was just laying down, looking at a lot of Twitter. I really got to dive into a lot of the content from other content creators, from a lot of the national media, and got to gauge the perception that I'm seeing around, the entire NFL media type of atmosphere and whatnot. And I got a lot to say about that. We definitely going to get to it. Let me see who else is in the building. William Meyer says, sorry, beard one time. Shout out to William Meyer one time in the building. Let me see. DB from EP Live in the building. What's going on, fam? That's a new face. Welcome to the fam. Good to see you here on this Tuesday afternoon. JJ Stangle in the building. Crypto Moves in the building with the biceps early. Bubs is in the building. Shout out to Bubs one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Willie Bean is in the building. Max Webster is in the building. First non-losing season in 5 MF years. I know that's right. Feels really good. Feels really good. And I was kind of overlooking that because I'm like, wait a minute, we got the 8 wins. I forgot about that tie. So that tie definitely solidifies that we are not going to have a losing season. Shout out to the Giants one time in the building for taking care of business this season. Y'all know what it is. I didn't think they were going to have no more than 9 wins. I will say that. I never really made a record prediction, but I agree with Kid Blue. When Kid Blue was saying, he's like, I look at the schedule and there's just no way I don't see 8 wins here. I thought it would be somewhere between like 6 and 8, 6 and 9 maybe wins. And the Giants looking like they're gonna breach that 8 wins. I think we can win one more of these last 3 games. We'll see how things are going. But shout out to Max Webster one time in the building. Nova Nebula in the building one time. I told you we was gonna get that dub, Nova. I told you. Shout out to Nova Nebula in the building. Zach is in the building one time. Shout out to Zach, always showing love. Day one right here. Alpha Mason in the building. Who else we got in the building? Bookend Tackles is in the building. Big salute. What's going on, fam? Let me see. Sebastian Sakpa said, mon cher. Hope all is well, man. Best instrumental on the album. Salute, salute. That's one of my favorites, and that means a lot, man. Like, of all the beats I produced on the album, All or Nothing, that's one of my favorites right there. I like to play that just about every stream. It's a vibe, especially after a W. Let me see what Zach is talking about here. You know, a little extended comment here I want to bring some attention to. The Giants will clinch if the New York Giants win and a Detroit loss at Carolina, and Seattle loss at Kansas City, or New York Giant win and Detroit loss at Carolina, or Washington loss at San Francisco, or a New York Giant win and a Seattle loss at Kansas City, and a Washington loss at San Francisco. So there you go. Y'all got the details right there about how we're going to get in. Chances are looking real up. I'm going to go over that with the opening here once we get through these shout-outs for sure, and kind of fill y'all in on that as well. Shout out to Zach for bringing that to our attention. Definitely appreciate that, brother. Who else in the building? Sank Zappa's in the building. Got the stash, gang, biceps, guitars, and all that good stuff. Salute to you, brother. Big win for these New York Giants. D. Biddle's in the building. Jeffrey Harrell is in the building one time. Who else we got in the building? Primetime 816. What's going on? Salute to you, fam. Appreciate you pulling up today on this Tuesday afternoon. We got a lot to go over. We're going to try to squeeze it within about a good 2 hours. And then don't forget, we're going to be doing the show tonight. In-depth recap on the NFC East week 15. Should be really good, man. We're going to bring the beard up here. Try to not embarrass him as much as I can. I'm going to try to keep it kosher. You know me, man. I got a lot of sportsmanship over here with Awthentik. I try to keep it cool after a big dub like that. But I was definitely confident. Y'all saw it on Twitter. I said it was going to be a 7-point victory. I thought it was going to be 27-20. The offense on both sides kind of let me down, the Washington offense and the New York offense. So a little bit less on the total output as far as the points go. But nonetheless, the Giants get a one-score victory. That's kind of how I looked at it. And, you know, that's how it came out. I said 27-21, kind of going with my little Giants vibes. Score was 20-12. So big shout-out to the Giants. Shout-out to Primetime one time in the building. Let me make sure I got everybody. Steven Arce is in the building one time. Pinho Thrift is in the building. Hit me up on Instagram. Big salute to you, fam. Appreciate you pulling up. D. Biddle's in the building. He says Kayvon might have to play some more primetime games so we can see that level of play. He definitely rose to the occasion, man. Shout out to Kayvon Thibodeau one time, man. He definitely balled out, man. And he's looking like one of the better steals of the draft, because you got to think, like, 4 teams passed up on that guy. I don't know how that went down. I definitely don't know how that went down. And Pinho also says that Landon Collins needs more burn. Yeah, he showed that in this game. Big run stop, where I believe it was Azeez Ojulari kind of showing up a little bit late on that right side. He had to fill in the inside gap instead of taking the outside gap. And then Landon Collins takes the outside gap and makes a hell of a play, man. Leans in there, beats the blocker. Great tackle for loss. So it was good to see 21 out there making plays, man. That was awesome. Shout out to David one time in the building, man. I appreciate you pulling up, my guy. I know you was very excited about all that World Cup stuff going on, man. Some good games. I know you're a big soccer fan. Man, appreciate you pulling up, man, showing some love to the New York Football Giants, man. Back in the mix. Lou Mateo was in the building one time. The Beard is in the building one time. Let me see what the Beard talks. Says that was perfectly said. Extended the Commanders' opportunity because we can't blame them for the loss no matter how much Commanders fans want to. Talking about the referees, that's 100%. Definitely agree with you on that. Steven Arce, what are you saying? Says the Landon Collins situation, I'm guessing they saved his last call up for this game, but I definitely wanted him in the first game. 100, but maybe smart get Landon Collins involved. More Xavier and Adoree. Xavier McKinney is ruled out this week pretty much. Brian Day will lean towards he's not playing this week. Hoping to get Adoree Jackson back on a short week. I believe we play on Saturday this week. Big shout out to Steven Arce one time. OG Knockout in the building says, bro, Daniel Jones had one good drive. The defense won that game. It's true. It's very true. I cannot not agree with you on this. Daniel Jones did have one good drive. Everything else outside of that, really game managed. Made sure he didn't make the big mistake. And I think in a game in this kind of weather, that can't go overlooked. He went out there, no touchdowns, but no interceptions, no fumbles, took care of the ball all night. Love the game plan from Mike Kafka in this game on a cold night. Went to the quick passing attack. I thought that worked in Daniel Jones' favor. He was pretty accurate for the most of the night. He missed one throw that I saw. It was on a third down crosser. It was the deepest throw of the day, too. A third down crosser right across the middle. It was going towards the New York Giants end zone. And, he had time in the pocket. He should have made the throw. It was the only throw I saw him miss on the night. But trust and believe, it was extremely cold out there. And, I know the stat box doesn't look that great for Daniel Jones, but I thought he did what he had to do to win the game. But I agree with you, OG Knockout. It was really one standout drive on the day. Outside of that, pretty much just taking care of the ball, trying to execute the short passing attack. I thought they did a good job. But the passing attack for the New York Giants, that was one of the number one takeaways I got from this game. Still a lot to be ironed out. Still a lot to be fixed in this passing attack. It looks a little better. It looks a little bit better. I love what Isaiah Hodgins is bringing to the table. And, I think Daniel Jones is doing a good job of, like, not making these depth pieces look worse than they really are. I think a lot of people are kind of harping on this wide receiver situation a little bit too much. I kind of find it offensive when people call these wide receivers Best Buy workers, Walmart workers, whatever that is, because everybody on their grind, for one, and for two, these are NFL caliber wide receivers. They're out there for a reason. They're doing their job. And Daniel Jones, hopefully with the rest of these games here, we only got 3 left. Hopefully they can find a way to stretch the field. I think the tape from this game, you can learn a lot from that the short pass attack that Mike Kafka and Brian Dable brought to the table in this game, and take that back, to the film room and find ways to stretch the field with this. This is an extension of the running game, if you ask me. But shout out to OG Knockout, man. Always keeping it real about Daniel Jones. Has a strong opinion, and I don't mind people with strong opinions. If you saw my Twitter today and the activity going on my Twitter, a little bit of a beef there just simply off a disagreement where somebody was saying that Richie James fell off for 4 games. And I'm like, no, Richie James didn't fall off for 4 games. Wan'Dale Robinson came back for about 4 or 5 games. And in return, you saw Richie James, his snap count went extremely down those weeks after the Ravens game when Wan'Dale Robinson got healthy. But, people be in their feelings. And I always tell people, it's always facts over feelings. Bring something to the table that's going to make me move my stance and make me pivot and lean more towards your stance. Don't get in your feelings and block me because you're upset about the take that I brought to you. I mean, and to me, it shows lack of maturity for real. But I respect OG Knockout 100% because OG Knockout stays on his points. He brings good points to the debate as well. He has a stance on Daniel Jones. I'm not here to change nobody's opinion on nothing. I'm only here to bring mine. And I think OG Knockout's pretty consistent. So big shout out to OG Knockout one time in the building. Let me make sure Mac, the Giants fan, is in the building. I just want to catch up to all of y'all. Arvin Palmer's in the building. Who else we got up in here that I didn't get to yet? Cortez Smith is in the building. Big shout out to Cortez one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up, Cortez. Cortez, that means a lot here. Jeff is in the building one time. And let me see. We getting down to the bottom of this here. Word is in the building, my day one. What's poppin', fam? Hope all is well with you, man. Hope you're enjoying this Tuesday. Hope Victory Monday was amazing. I know mine was. I slept like a baby, man. It was great. Let me see. Lou Mateo says being a game manager and relying on defense is not a bad thing. 2,000 Ravens. I'm not saying Giants is the Ravens, but the tactics do work. 1,000%. I don't know why people get offended by the game manager thing. Like, if you're a good game manager, that's a great thing. It just means that you're not of the elite quarterbacks, But being a guy who can, take care of the ball, not turn it over, I think the game manager definition is kind of changing a little bit as the pass attack, tends to be the number one way to score points in the NFL in 2022. So being a game manager just means you're not of the elite caliber of quarterbacks. But there's bad game managers. There's good game managers. I will say that. Daniel Jones has been doing a good job of being a game manager this year. So I can't critique that. I love what he's doing as far as, how he's restricted in this offense. A lot of it has to do with him, why he's restricted, and some of it has to do with the coaching staff. But I think the coaching staff is also doing a good job with the pieces and the weapons that they have here, So they're finding ways to win games against teams that they should beat. And I looked at the Commanders as a game we should beat. As a team we should beat. So shout out to them for executing that game plan. And, Lou Mateo, great point here. Shout out to LGZ one time. What up, Logan? I hope all is well with you, fam. Haven't talked to you in a minute. Mac, the Giants fan, is in the building. He says, I really just want to see the offense take some deep shots just to keep the defense honest. No passes beyond 15 air yards will not get it done in Minnesota. That's facts right there, man. And in this game, you saw no deep shots. From my perspective in the stands, I saw one that Daniel Jones left out there. And it might have been on that crosser where I was filming Hodgins on. Actually, no, it wasn't a crosser. I know that because I remember the route from Slayton, seeing the 22-man footage. But on one of those routes, he had Slayton down the sideline where it was one-on-one. He could have put it up. That was the only one I really saw. Kenny Golladay came in the game for one play, and it looked like he might have had a one-on-one matchup as well from where I was sitting in the stands. But, I'd like to see the shots too, Mac, the Giants fan. I ain't going to lie. But it was a cold night. I think that there was an emphasis on not making the mistakes, and I got to commend Daniel Jones for not making the mistakes in this game. I think that was really important. Let me see who else is in the building one time. Patty Giant is in the building. Shout out to Patty Giant. Welcome to the fam. Let me just send out this quick text real quick before we keep this moving. Apologies for that, y'all. This is an important one. Oh, Texas boys in the building. Shout out Texas boy in the building one time, pulling up, man, after that Cowboys loss. Tough loss. I was kind of rooting for y'all in that game. I'm not going to lie, man. I picked y'all to win it. Y'all were favored by a large margin in that one. I thought y'all was going to finish that game out, man. It seemed to go a little bit cold, and the Jacksonville Jaguars really figured out, it seemed like y'all offensive attack and the mistakes down the stretch, man. That drop from Noah Brown in overtime, you can't do things like that, and that really sealed y'all fate in that game. But big shout out to Texas boy one time in the building. Michael Knights is in the building one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. Y'all already know we're going to get these shout-outs out the way for sure, man, because all y'all show up every week, show love, man. We've been rocking out as a family for a minute, so on a Victory Tuesday like today, definitely got to show y'all some love. Let me see who else is in here. Just make sure we got everybody. Stan is in the building. Man, big shout-out to Stan one time. Said, don't forget to like, subscribe to Awthentik and the Beard, the realest of the real on YouTube. Yeah, you already know. Stan, I tell them like it is. I tell it like it is, and I will tell them like it is. If you want to get, them takes from the mascots and whatnot, and everything looks all positive, you know exactly where to go. When you want the unbiased stuff, the objective takes, you know exactly where I'm at. That's exactly what it is, man. Shout out to Stan one time. Always keeping it real. Always being objective, man, about the New York Giants. And I know it's tough, man. It's really tough on Twitter with the way some of the stuff I was seeing today. I was going to put this as a giant overreaction. I was like, it don't even make sense to do this because I already know what it is. This one dude, and he's a super homer. I forget what his name is on Twitter. I think his real name is Evan or something. But he was saying that Daniel Jones went out there and single-handedly won his first primetime game. And I'm just like, come on, dog. We can't do that. We cannot do that. We just cannot do that. Shout out to Waterfly one time in the building, man. Another day one. Appreciate you pulling up. Zeke is in the building. Shout out to Zeke, man. Zeke was asking me about this, too. He's like, when are we going to have this giant overreaction? Are you going to be going live today, man? Did I miss it yesterday? That means a lot, man, that y'all checking for the content, man. And Zeke, man, I appreciate the support on the album, supporting it over there on Bandcamp where all the proceeds directly go straight to me. Even on the streaming platforms, the proceeds do go right to me, which is really good. Shout out to DistroKid. They do a fantastic job distributing my music, but we know with streams on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, those pennies don't really add up because you're not even getting pennies on the stream. So big shout out to Zeke Anderson, who went over to my Bandcamp and showed a lot of love and supported the album. Gave it a full listen to, man. Big shout out to you one time, yo. Fa Blizza is in the building one time. I saw Fa Blizza in the comment section on some YouTube stuff, keeping it real. Big shout out to you, fam. Says Kayvon is the future for this team, bro. I'm so happy to have him here. Me too, man. And it's great to see that, he's not plateauing in the middle of the season. This dude seems like he's on the up and up throughout the whole entire year. You can tell that his best football has yet to be played yet, man. He was everything in this game. Seeing it firsthand right in the end zone that I was sitting in, how fast he got to that quarterback. It was ridiculous, man. And I don't know why the Washington Commanders were passing the ball deep in their own territory like that. It was like second and long or something like that. And, to have Heineke drop back and pass there, very dangerous situation. I think they could have played it a little bit safer. But nonetheless, Kayvon got there quick as ever, man, and made that play. It was amazing to see that live. I mean, just the way that this team moves when you see it in person, I'm thankful to have been able to see it that close. Like the game moves so much faster than even I could expect, and I know how the game moves. I know it's fast. But seeing them out there in this game against the Commanders, for one, the flack that our cornerbacks who are filling in right now have been getting, I'm telling you, if you see it live, you'll change your opinion on it. They're playing good, tough football, but playing cornerback in the NFL against the caliber type of wide receivers that the Washington Commanders have, it's tough, man. Jahan Dotson, that kid is shifty. He is fast. Terry McLaurin's one of the best route runners in the league. And when you see it in person, just to see a cornerback or defensive back hang in there and be able to stay with them, it's amazing. And a lot of these, the calls and the way the game is called, it leans towards the wide receiver. And the wide receiver is dictating the route, and the cornerback has to follow them. So big shout out to this secondary. Big shout out to Wink Martindale for not, dying on his blitz tactics. I felt he called a very balanced game. He relied on his front four a lot in this game to get to the quarterback. You didn't see a bunch of extra blitzes that were necessary for us to get to Taylor Heineke, and I love that. Seeing Wink Martindale adjust to the personnel that he has out here, and also noticing their skill set on the fly and being able to adjust throughout the year. I think it shows you how he's not a stubborn defensive coordinator. I love to see it, man. Wink Martindale, and to see him on the sidelines, up close and personal was awesome, man. Straight OG vibes, man. Looking like he needed a cigar on the sidelines, man. Big shout out to Wink, man, and big shout out to Fa Blizzard for pulling up one time on this Tuesday afternoon. I see my man Tuto in the building one time, man. I saw your comment on the video, man. Hope all is well with the rugby. I think you said you got the victory, man. I've been, ripping and running pretty much, looking through these comments, trying to stay active. I'm going to definitely get to that, man. Shout out to you, Tuto, for pulling up one time in the building, man, and representing for them New York Giants one time and representing for Italy, man. Big salute to y'all one time. Let me see if I'm just caught up here, man. I just want to make sure. I'm trying to catch up and then get to this little breakdown, and then we'll get to these overreactions one time. Shout out to the beer for placing the link one time out there. Sean G is in the building one time. Appreciate you pulling up, Sean. Let me see who else is in the building. Hey, shout out to Lax one time, man, for that $9.99 super chat one time. I know that's a nod to the beard one time. He says, big win for the Giants. Let's keep it going and finish the push for the playoffs. I'm right there with you, man. I think a lot of Giants fans have been kind of split on this a little bit, like they almost like, it's not that they want us to lose, but they're unsure if they want to see this team in the playoffs to just get excited and have a one-and-done type of situation. I respect their opinion on things, but for me, I'm looking to get to the playoffs. You get a chance. Everyone is 0-0. You never know. What if Daniel Jones can elevate himself and play his best football when we get to the playoffs, and his defense can play even better football, and Saquon Barkley, who seems like he shows up when he's challenged. We know he was challenged in this game. Leading up in the press conferences throughout the week, looked extremely confident, looked happy. He was smiling. You didn't see that depressed kind of vibe from Saquon Barkley in the press conferences. And the big dog showed up, man, and Daniel Jones showed up in this game to the extent that I think was necessary for him to win. And same thing for this defense. So just imagine we could get healthy and try to find our way into the playoffs and make a run. It will be amazing. I'm rooting for it. I want to see this young team get the experience in the playoffs. I think that's important going into next year. And then when you go and you build, into the 2023 season, you can say, hey, this was a playoff roster last year in the first year of a rebuild, and it'll look like more of a landing destination for free agents and trade acquisitions and draft capital and all of that. It'll just look better for the New York Giants, in my humble opinion. So I'm looking for the playoffs as well, man. Big salute to Lax one time, pulling up and supporting the channel, man, on this Tuesday afternoon, man. Salute to you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Let me see what else, man. Let me see what else. I'm just making sure we all caught up so we can get into this real quick. All right, so it looks like we all good. We all caught up, man. Big shout out to the gang. Shout out to the whole Giants Nation, man, pulling up. We deep in the building on this Victory Tuesday. We already got about plus 85 in the building, so salute to y'all for showing up, showing out, man, and, allowing me to come here and just express some of my thoughts on all platforms across the whole entire internet, man. And I did want to start the show. Y'all know every show I end by saying, live those dreams, keep raising the bar, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And that's a nod to Combat Jack. And I saw that Premium Pete tweeted this morning, it's 5 years since we lost Combat Jack, who to me, when it comes to bridging the gap between the hip-hop culture and the podcasting culture and the media culture and all the news stuff and the journalism, Combat Jack was the first person that I saw really doing that with Premium Pete. Who else was a part of that? Dallas Penn was a part of that. And a few others, man, that really showed me this podcast game before the beard came up and, had the idea to start a show about football. And so I always send praise to Combat Jack and Premium Pete after every show, about the universe flowing in Technicolor and surround sound. That's a nod to him, So big shout out to Combat Jack. Rest in peace to him, man. He was from New York. He was a lawyer for a lot of big deals that went down in the 90s. Jay-Z, a bunch of other cats, man. He had his hand in a lot of paperwork for these artists and helped push the hip-hop culture forward. And I'm all about that. I'm all about pushing the hip-hop culture forward and trying to put my foot into this content game when it comes to this, this football stuff as well, just bridging that gap. So big shout out to Combat Jack. I know that Joe Budden podcast is a big reason, a lot of that happened with the influence of Combat Jack. So big salute to Combat Jack one time, man. All right, so let's get into this game here, man. Giants took on the Commanders. This was a solid game. Great one to be at. I was sitting in the end zone for the Washington Commanders. It was a little hostile. We had some youngins in front of us, man, that was being some little knuckleheads, man. It took everything in my power to not get kicked out of that game. But it was a great game to be at nonetheless, with a lot on the line for the New York Giants. So let's get into it.
Are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
All right, man. So the Giants, they ended their 4-game winless streak and improved to 8-5-1. That's major for us right there. The first division win of the year. Y'all know I kind of joked about this last week about, the New York Giants being able to back their way into the playoffs off 0 division wins. So that feels really good. to get that division win and solidify that third place in the NFC East right now. We got that game up and a half on the Washington Commanders, which is a great thing right now. I definitely didn't want to rely on them having to lose some games. I thought that if we were to lose this game against the Commanders, the Giants were going to be in serious trouble entering this last stretch of 3 games, trying to make a run for the playoffs with some tough games here, man, against some tough opponents. You got the Colts, you got the Vikings, and you got the Philadelphia Eagles. And, it looks like we might be able to see Gardner Minshew for that last week of the season going up against the Eagles. But nonetheless, the Eagles are a good team no matter what. Even if they're putting in their second-string players, they're a good team. That's going to be a tough matchup. So, I think we were very fortunate to come out of this game with a victory. It played out very similar to the first matchup. Pretty ugly game, came down to a one-possession type thing. Really came down to the last couple of plays on the goal line. And we'll talk about how that sequence ended here in a little bit. But the Giants improved to 4-2 on the road this season. Still got games on the road against Minnesota and against the Philadelphia Eagles. 2 more to go. So hopefully we can try to, improve on that road record. The Giants have been playing good football on the road all year long. They also, currently have a 87% chance to make the playoffs right now. A win against the Vikings and it'll increase to 99%. So for me, I forget who it was in the chat I think that was Zach that was bringing it to our attention about all the different scenarios of who could win, who could lose. We go out here, we handle business against the Vikings, which I think is a game where you got to play your best out there for sure. This has to be one of the Giants' best games to be able to have even a chance at winning against the Vikings. They have a very high-powered offense over there with hella weapons, acquired for T.J. Hawkinson. They got Thielen out there. They got Justin Jefferson. They also got a running game with Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback in this league. I think he's the definition of a good quarterback in this league. Not elite, but has the weapons out there. When you put the pieces around him, he can do a lot. I think that's what a lot of people want to see with Daniel Jones. They want to see the weapons around him, and maybe his play could increase and be better than a guy like Kirk Cousins. But right now, Kirk Cousins definitely playing some good football. In this game, man, against the Commanders, there was, a couple of things that stood out to me that were really ugly. And both teams in this game on third down were awful. The Commanders didn't get their first third down conversion until the fourth quarter. They were 1 for 10 on third down. The Giants were 2 for 10 on third down. So, when you see that Hodgins play that I showed in the beginning of the episode, that little crosser, that was one of the only third down conversions of the day. They did have the 4th and 9 conversion, which that was a great throw from Daniel Jones, great route from Richie James. And, he squeezed it into a tight window. I thought it was a gutsy call from Brian Dable as well. It would have been a long field goal. You could have maybe tried to punt that, maybe keep Washington, backed up and try to win the field position battle there. But nonetheless, I think that was one of the big plays right there from Daniel Jones that helped this team win the game. That 4th and 9 conversion, man, was huge for the Giants. And, we all know defensively, Kayvon Thibodeau with the strip sack, that was amazing. To me, that was the real difference maker in this game. Kayvon Thibodeau, he just completely went off. We could scroll down for real and talk about some of, his big plays and what he did, the strip sack, scoop and score. And what I loved about that is he showed some versatility. I've been asking for this a lot. I've been saying, Kayvon Thibodeau, yeah, he's got that outside move. He knows how to, get low like a motorcycle and kind of hit that edge and be able to beat these left tackles and right tackles, by beating them to the edge. But the one thing that we really haven't seen too much from Kayvon Thibodeau is being physical with the bull rush. And on the strip sack on Taylor Heineke, straight bull rushed, homie, pushed him right back into the quarterback. Then he makes the swim move, gets right there, has the awareness and the whereabout to get up and pick the ball, scooped it with one hand right in front of us, tucked it away, and got into that end zone. It reminded me of the fumble recovery earlier on this season that Michael Parsons had, where, when you are a defender and you have that kind of awareness, I hope the Madden rating folks is looking at this. The awareness rating got to jump up for Kayvon Thibodeau after that, because when you had that kind of awareness to not only make the play, but understand the situation and scoop that ball up and get into the end zone, I think that's super important when you're playing the edge rusher. We complained about the game against the Commanders where we had the tie the previous time we met up with the Commanders, and Kayvon Thibodeau had a shot at the end of that game to get a strip sack as well. He ends up just getting the sack. Taylor Heineke ends up converting that 4th and 4 after that, and the Washington Commanders drive down and are able to tie up the game. So you see the difference. Learning from your mistakes. You could see Kayvon Thibodeau went back, looked at the tape, studied it, and he got better in this game. And I know you can't get stronger overnight, but he looked like he was stronger than me in this game. 12 tackles. He had 3 tackles for a loss, the 1 sack, which was the strip sack. Kayvon Thibodeau, just all over the place in this game. On the last play that Taylor Heineke rolled out and tried to run it, I remember looking at that play live, and I'm like, before they sent the man in motion, Kayvon Thibodeau was the farthest outside guy on the line, and he stood up, and you could tell he was going to be in coverage right off the bat. And I was kind of scratching my head. I was kind of like, everything on the line, we're about to put Kayvon Thibodeau in coverage? I didn't understand it. And I think that is why that Taylor Heinicke was able to scramble and roll out of the pocket and try to find, a way to buy some time and then make a run for the end zone. But when you see Kayvon Thibodeau pulling up, you really got to go for that pylon, especially as a smaller quarterback, how Taylor Heinicke is. And Kayvon Thibodeau makes a great play, man. To me, the game-saving play. He not only makes the play that swings the points in our advantage, 12 or 13-point swing there, he makes the play at the end of the game. And now you don't even got to worry about the 2-point conversion after we get off into that fourth down play. But just a great play by Kayvon Thibodeau, man. And I think, not enough people are talking about that tackle. I saw some Commanders fans saying, how did he not get in? And that's about it. But in the Giants community, not a lot of people talking about that. We talked about Landon Collins, man. He had a great game. It was good to see him get elevated up. And the thing that I noticed about Landon Collins, he didn't look slow out there. He looked fast. He looked quick. He looked like the same exact Landon Collins that I remember wearing that 21 before he left blue. And it was great to see that. A guy who's, going through some journeys, some ups and downs, signed to the practice squad here, was a free agent throughout the year. It's great to see Landon Collins out there. Now, a couple of other depth pieces I want to bring up and some unsung guys out here that was making plays from what I noticed with my two eyes being at the game. Jason Pinnock, much more physical this game. Pinnock, there was a 4th and 6 before the half. He had a pass breakup on 4th down I thought was an incredible play. And also Tony Jefferson, he stepped up. He had to break up on 3rd and 5 before the half to set up the play for Graham Gano when we got the ball back, where Graham Gano had the 50-yard field goal before the half. Pinnock also had a 3rd and 9 where Wink Martindale dialed up a blitz, a nice timely blitz, and he had the blindside hit on Taylor Heinicke to force the 4th down. So these guys out there making plays. The only play that Pinnock really struggled on was the deep seam down the middle of the field to Jahan Dotson. And the one thing I'll say about that is it's more of a better play from Jahan Dotson, who goes up, and he did Randy Moss, Jason Pinnock on that play. But Pinnock was in position. It's a one-on-one play, kind of got turned around a little bit and kind of lost the ball. And the ball's a little bit short, and I think Jahan Dotson had a better eye on that one, which allowed him to kind of slow down, step up, and make the jumping catch and make the play. The way that the Commanders drove down on that drive, I was definitely scared. I was looking at it like we might fall apart and crumble, and it looks like we don't have enough offensive output to be able to finish out this game. But nonetheless, man, I thought Jason Pinnock stepped up in a tough spot here, man, and he's been struggling, I feel like, for a couple of games. But he went out here, handled business, did what he had to do, and I got to commend him. I don't think it's fair to, brush over some of these players going out here and making these good plays, stepping up as depth pieces, and people, you see more people trying to clown these players than they actually try to lift these players up who are out here, man, trying their damnedest to make plays. And Pinnock and Tony Jefferson were definitely doing that in this game. Got to send a big shout out to Graham Gano as well. Graham Gano with the 2 50-yard field goals. I mean, really kept us in this one. And, to stretch the score to an 8-point lead there late in the game to go up 20-12, Graham Gano, man, Graham Gano has been pretty much automatic all year long outside of that game winner that he missed short in windy conditions at MetLife Field against the Commanders. So big shout out to him. Richie James is another one. Richie James has been one of our best, if not the best, wide receiver throughout the whole entire season. I talked about his lull in productivity there, but looking at Richie James' numbers, he has 42 receptions on 52 targets. You can't tell me this guy has not been effective. He has not been dropping passes all year long, pretty much being Daniel Jones' 3rd down security blanket, playing the role of a tight end almost when Daniel Bellinger is not out there making plays. And we know with the eye injury from Daniel Bellinger, kind of took a step back there in his play a little bit since the eye injury. And obviously when he was dealing with the injury and not on the field, there's nothing he could do about that. But Richie James, man, in the special teams and in the passing attack, I thought Richie James did a great job. So there was a punt from Tress Way that surprised me that the Commanders were even punting it because they were on our 34-yard line, but they tried to pin us deep nonetheless. They punted it all the way down to about our 6 or 7-yard line, and Richie James, man, heads-up play, he doesn't fair catch it, catches the punt, man, and returns it all the way to our 30-yard line. It was a net of 4 yards on the punt. So great heads-up play by Richie James. When I saw it live, they were punting it right to us. It was from our end zone when he caught the ball. And I was like, he's got some space, man. You don't got to fair catch this. When I saw it in the air, he catches that. makes the play. When I saw it on TV, it was one of those plays where I was like, oh, I would have been calling for you to fair catch it, looking at it from the broadcast view. But looking at it on the field, I see why he made that play. A bit risky, but great reward there, man, because you don't want to have the Giants all backed up in their own territory. And I thought Richie James did a fantastic job on that play. He also, on the 4th and 9 play, I mean, that play, offensively, the play of the day. The 4th and 9 dart from Daniel Jones, and Richie James gets 10 yards, sits down in a little tight window for Daniel Jones, makes the catch on 4th down, and extends that drive. Richie James doing big things right now for this offense. So big shout out to Richie James as well. And we already know, man, Saquon Barkley. Y'all, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm always talking about the big dog, and that's Saquon Barkley. Sometimes that dog is in the kennel. We saw it for 3 straight games. But in this game, Saquon Barkley went out there, man, handled business. 18 rushes for 87 yards and a beautiful touchdown coming out of a play that Brian Dable stole from Penn State back when Saquon Barkley was in Penn State. They ran that play. I believe it was against Michigan. Somebody brought that to my attention on Twitter. And just a fantastic play. I showed it in the beginning, of this stream. And for those of y'all that didn't see it, let's pull it up one more time just so y'all can see it from a different perspective that you're not going to see from nobody else. This is straight from my camera. And the NFL can't give me no copyright strikes or nothing like that, I don't think, because this came directly off my camera, directly from the game. Great play from Saquon Barkley. And the stadium was just going crazy at that point, man. It was a great drive capped off by, that Saquon Barkley touchdown out of the pistol. I loved it. And it was great to see something different. I've been talking about Brian Dable. You got to trick up your sleeve or something, bro. And this was one of them. I love this play call right here. You could tell that the Washington defense was completely thrown off. Andrew Thomas with a seal block that was just, man, Andrew Thomas is a bear. That guy is something different. Seeing it up close like that, he is different. Definitely one of the best left tackles in the entire NFL. And Ben Bredeson, man, having him back showed up in this game in a major way, man. Barkley, man, just, it was a great second half from Saquon Barkley. He had 87 yards on the ground. 74 of them came in the second half. 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, man. You saw the big dog. We took him off the leash, man. He had runs of 12 yards, 14 yards, and 15 yards on back-to-back-to-back plays. And that led to the Graham Gano 50-yarder to put us up 20-12. In 4 career games versus Washington, Saquon Barkley has 665 scrimmage yards and 4 touchdowns. He's averaging 166.3 yards per game against Washington. So when I know a lot of people know that Daniel Jones has historically had some really good games against Washington, but Saquon Barkley has been having some great games against Washington as well. So when you get in those little Twitter feuds and those little Twitter debates, don't forget to bring up that stat right there. Saquon Barkley in 4 career games versus Washington, 665 scrimmage yards, averaging 166.3 scrimmage yards per game, went over 120 scrimmage yards in this game. It's his 6th game of at least 120 scrimmage yards this year. I've talked about Saquon. Saquon, when we win games, a lot of the time it's because Saquon is putting them last nails in the coffin and our defense going up there and showing out, and Daniel Jones just not making the big mistake. And that's important, I think. We got to put value on that when Daniel Jones plays these clean type of games. And in this game, Jones was 21-32 for 160 yards. And it's weird that, that 32, I think anybody who just glances over the box score, they're going to look at that a little strange. But the reason why I think he threw it 32 times was because we were relying on a short pass attack all day long. And, I think that's why it was just more, it just looked like more volume when it really wasn't. And when you take a look at Daniel Jones' passing chart here, it'll show you not one throw goes over 15 yards. You only got about 3 throws that breached the 10-yard mark. And it was freezing out there, y'all. It was like 31 degrees. And the wind chill made it feel like it was like 21 degrees. So it was definitely a cold game to see this short passing attack actually work. And, the Giants to find a way to sustain drives, occasionally. It wasn't great. I'm not sitting here saying this guy had a great game, but this is a decent game. When I talk about Saquon Barkley, I'm always saying this. I'm like, if Saquon Barkley can go out there and have an ugly game, like around 80 yards, most of the time we're going to find a way to win, especially against teams like Washington, that I put them in that bracket of a very average football team. They're not a great football team. To me, they're really not even a good football team. They definitely lack in the coaching is what I noticed in this game, and also at the quarterback position. Your quarterback can't go out here and turn the ball over 2 times, and you expect to win. Giants ended up keeping the time of possession relatively even against Washington, who is the #1 team in the NFL as far as time of possession goes. We just beat them out by just about a minute in this one. So, great job of controlling the clock to a degree, and doing the best that you could up against a team that had the running game going, pretty well all day. I don't know why Washington got away from Brian Robinson. I believe Brian Robinson only had 7 carries or 7 touches in the second half. And I just think you can't do that. You can't do that. He was averaging 7 yards per carry, and actually he only touched the ball 4 times in the second half. To me, that just, you're abandoning what the Beard loves about the Washington Commanders, which is RTDB. He always wants over 30 runs a game, and I'm not sure if he got that in this one. Taking a look at the box score here, they had exactly 30 rushing attempts on the day. They were averaging 4.3 yards per carry. The Giants were averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Did a really good job, man, rushing the ball there, and took care of business. Oh, actually, let me flip that. Let me flip that for you. The Commanders were averaging 6.1 yards per carry. The Giants were averaging 4.3 yards per carry. They outrushed us, and the Commanders actually only had 26 attempts, and the Giants were the ones who had 30 attempts. In the red zone, the Giants were 1 for 1. I'd love to get down there a little bit more in the red zone. And the Commanders were 1 of 3 in the red zone. So I know the Beard is not liking that. And under 30 attempts for Washington as far as the rushing attack goes, I know the Beard is not feeling that on this Tuesday afternoon either. So, Giants do a good job of keeping the run going, especially in the second half. I'd like to see them get things going a little bit better in the first quarter and the first half. Talked about this on Thursday on the preview show. Saquon Barkley is 33rd in the NFL right now, and actually entering week 15, he was 33rd in first quarter rushing attempts. I think we can find a way to get a little bit more balance. And even if you got to utilize some of the other running backs, do that. Matt Breida only had 2 attempts in this game. All the other carries came from Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones had 10 for 35, and Saquon Barkley had the 18 for 87. But, they did rely on that short pass attack. Reminded me of an old school kind of run and shoot kind of a, kind of pass attack. It reminded me a lot of what the Packers like to do. A lot of short, quick outs, some quick comeback routes, some crossers. You saw some mesh concepts. And you saw, just some good stop routes, just some stuff to get Daniel Jones in the rhythm. And I think it worked out fairly well on a really cold day at FedEx Field. So big shout out to this coaching staff, man. Did what they had to do. And we know defensively, man, we showed up. We definitely showed up. Dexter Lawrence had a big game. The Giants pressured Heineke on 44% of his dropbacks. And since week 8, the Giants are getting pressure on 36% of their pass rushes, which is 3rd in the NFL. So this defense has been doing their job. Outside of that Eagles game, defense has definitely been holding it down, man, and doing a good job of getting pressure on the quarterback. And that's all we can ask for. We know we got a lot of injuries in the secondary, so I'm not too mad at the ways that Wink Martindale is finding ways to put pressure on the quarterback. So big shout out to this coaching staff, man. I think they're doing a good job with a very limited roster. I think they're doing a really good job. I think that Washington Commanders have a better roster than the New York Giants do at this moment in time. I do think we got the edge in the quarterback department. And this one dude was telling me on a Twitter, talking about Daniel Jones and Taylor Heineke. He was like, just look at the numbers in this game and tell me which quarterback you would pick. Okay, so Heineke goes 17 to 29, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. Daniel Jones, 21 to 32 for 160, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was not sacked on the day. It's the first time that Jones was not sacked in a game since 2021 against Dallas. He had been sacked at least 1 time in 19 consecutive games. And I told him, I'm taking the game from Daniel Jones every time. He didn't turn the ball over. This dude who's sending me these stats on Twitter, you want to leave out the main statistic for Taylor Heineke of why I would not choose him in this game. 2 fumbles. And he lost them both. So for me, that's the deciding factor right there. I don't care if you threw 4 touchdowns in this game. You turned the ball over twice, got sacked 3 times in this game. I'm taking Daniel Jones all day on this one. So big shout out to them, man, playing a clean game, very clean game. And let me just catch up to the chat here one time. I did see a couple super chats came in, so let's definitely pull those up one time. Let me see. I'm just scrolling back, making sure we good. All right, let's start with this one right here from the homie Crypto Move. Shout out to Crypto Move, man. Big shout out to you, brother, with the 420 super chat, because we definitely smoking on some DC Pack today, man, after that win against the Washington Commanders. Special win with you in the building. one time. I appreciate that. Number 26, number 5 are heroes. They were definitely heroes in this game. Saquon closed it out, man, on that last drive there, man. You know, when we really needed it with about 5 minutes left in the game, really closed it out. We you know, did all that on the back of Saquon Barkley and all the lead up. Kayvon Thibodeau was doing fantastic job, man. He was doing a great job. 12 tackles, the strip sack, scoop and score. Gotta love those. Those are great. I was having a talk with a couple of Commanders fans at the time, and they were asking me, like, would you extend Daniel Jones? So they were, like, turned around looking at me right when the strip sack was happening, man. And I was just like, we all lost our mind when that happened. Big momentum shift, and the Giants go up 14-13, you know, to go into the half. In a first half where I felt like the Washington Commanders really dominated it and should have really been at, you know, in the lead at the half, and they weren't because of big plays by this defense and, most importantly, big plays by Kayvon Thibodeau, man. He did his thing in this game, man, and I think we saw a rookie really emerge, you know. I talked about him on a big stage on Thanksgiving against the Dallas Cowboys. He showed up in that game. And then here on a bigger stage with playoff implications on the line, Kayvon Thibodeau showed up in a major, major way. Loved his press conference, you know, showed humility after the game and talked about his preparation, man. This guy is out there trying to get to it. A lot of people were saying, you know, he takes off on plays, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't see none of that in this game, man. There were times where you could tell he was tired and he was digging down trying to make the plays, and that's exactly what he did, man. So big shout out to you, Crypto Moves. I love the 420 vibes on the Super Chat, man. That definitely means a lot and goes a long way to support this channel. And big shout out to the homie Tudo one time, man. Tudo, that's a major, major, major Super Chat, my brother. Definitely appreciate the 99.99 Super Chat one time. He says, massive salutes and respects to Awthentik and all the diehard Giants fans in the house. Happy holidays, Eve. God bless, and please stay safe, man. Big salute to you, Tudo, man, sending in that Super Chat across the pond. For those of y'all that don't know Tudo, I always joke about this on Twitter. I say, as long as Tudo is going to be out there on the field for the New York Giants, we got a chance to win. And when we lost that game, or tied that game to the Commanders and then lost that game to the Eagles, I chalked it up to Tudo not being out there, man. Tudo's one of the biggest supporters of the Giants community, not only here at Awthentik in the Beard. I see him on everybody's channels, man. I see him with Big Pat. I see him on Chat Sports. The homies from Chat Sports actually hit me up in my DM, and he was like, if you know, you know, after I said that, Tudo, you know, we needed Tudo out there on the field. So big shout out to Tudo, man. Your support for this channel does not go unrecognized, my brother. And happy holidays to you, man. I hope all is well with you. This is the #1 supporter of the Giants community. I won't say just over here at Awthentik in the Beard. I'm talking all channels, all the way from Tainer, all the way to Pizzle, to all of these people. He supports all these channels, whether large channel, small channel, whatever you want to call it. This dude, I can remember him being in our chats and waiting for us to get monetized. And when we got monetized, he was sending in Super Chats. One of the first people we probably got Super Chats from, I believe, was Tudo and Nick DeWick. So big shout out to you, Tudo. That definitely means a lot, man. I hope you enjoyed that victory on Sunday, man. It was a big one. And, you know, I hope these Giants can take us into the playoffs and we can get some more memorable moments out of this team, man. Big salute to you, bro. That definitely means a lot, my guy. Yeah, Bluegrass Picker already knows with the Tudo. Shout out to Tudo one more time, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up, man, and rocking with me on this Week 15 edition of the Giant Overreaction. Y'all know what it is, man. The gang is in the building. We sitting at about 100. We're going to get off into these overreactions here in a second, man. I appreciate all of y'all being patient. We're trying to keep this around 2 hours, and I think we're making some good time, man. So big shout out to all of y'all in the building one time. All right, man. So I think we went over, you know, about everything we needed to go over except a couple of key moments that I wanted to talk about here, man. I love how this Giants defense was getting pressure with the front four. And if they can continue to do that, that's just going to help this secondary out tremendously, especially when we get healthy. So I'm looking forward to that, man. To me, this was the first game that stood out where they were getting pressure with that front four. And I don't know if that was because I was in the building actually watching this game up close and whatnot, and I had my eyes on the trenches a lot more than I normally do, because I know when I'm at these games, it's so easy to get, you know, to lose focus and not keep your eyes on the game. So I tried to do that throughout this entire game. And outside of those little young boys that were sitting in front of me, man, like really giving us a hard time, I kept my eyes on the game for most of this through and through. And that's the one thing I noticed, man, the pressure from up front. It was amazing, man, to just see 4 players getting. And a lot of times when they would send blitz, it wasn't on Kayvon Thibodeau's side. I saw somebody saying something about, you know, that Kayvon Thibodeau was getting triple teamed and all this stuff. And I didn't see that. I really just saw Kayvon Thibodeau getting a lot of one-on-one matchups and really taking advantage of it and showing his strength in this pass rush. So big shout out to that front four. They definitely did their thing. And I think Brian Dable, one of the key moments in this game, it's so hard to hear the referees in an atmosphere like how it was on Sunday night, at FedEx Field. It was extremely loud in there, and Giants fans were loud. The Washington Commanders, like big boards on the side and all the digital boards that run along the stadium, anytime it was a big moment, you would see it would say, get loud, get loud, get loud. So not only were Giants fans getting loud on these big moments, so were the Commanders fans. So it just made for a very playoff-like atmosphere during this game. And, when Brian Dable was challenging the fumble from Taylor Heineke on the Dexter Lawrence sack there, it was very unclear. I saw the ball pop out. It was on the far end zone from us, and I did see the ball pop out, but from where I was sitting, it looked like the ground caused it. And to see Brian Dable throw that challenge flag out there, it was amazing, and I think Brian Dable has done a really good job this year about not being, just frivolous with the red flag. Like, he throws it out there when I think he sees something that he can actually win. And I think he's 3 for 5 on challenges this year. And, I just thought that was a pivotal point in that game because they're driving there, and we get an extra drive because of that from the red zone. That was one of their red zone opportunities that they squandered. And, as soon as I saw Brian Dable throw the flag, I'm like, I know Brian Dable. He's not going to throw that challenge flag unless he saw something up there, or somebody gave him a sign from upstairs and told him, hey, this one you probably want to challenge. So I felt really good about it. And then to hear the call get overturned, that was amazing. So big shout out to Brian Dable, man, and his coaching staff, man. They really handled business on that challenge. I thought that was great. Now, a lot of Commanders fans, they were complaining about we'll go over the first one here, the first call from the referee, which was the Terry McLaurin illegal formation call. Another one that in the stadium, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I saw the play. They allowed the play to go out, even though it was an illegal formation. They let it play throughout, and then you see the flag come out, and I'm so confused. I thought it was going to be maybe like an offsides, or, I thought it might be like maybe an offensive holding or something like that, possibly. And I didn't get to figure out what happened on that play until we got back to the parking lot, and I talked with Chris Peace, and Chris Peace was like, yeah, it was an illegal formation. So I had to go back. I looked at all the plays, all the angles I possibly could over and over and over. The one where they zoom in on Terry McLaurin and put the circle around him, I think that one doesn't do any justice for the Washington Commanders. It almost looks like he's farther away from the line in that one. Now, he does check with the referee. You see him give him the thumbs up. He looks away from the referee. A lot of people are reporting that he looked at him twice because that is what Terry McLaurin said in the press conference. But a lot of people are reporting that he looked at the referee twice and the referee gave him confirmation twice. But go back and look at the play. That's not what happened. He looks at the referee once. He gives him a thumbs up as if he's asking, like, hey, am I good? The referee says something. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what he said off the strength of just what Terry McLaurin says. I don't know what he said. Probably told him to move up a little bit. You see Terry McLaurin make the effort to move up. He puts his hand out again as in to ask if he's good. But Terry McLaurin never looked back at the referee again. And that's on everything I love. If you look at Terry McLaurin on that play, he looks at the referee once, then he looks away from him. Who knows what happens in the middle of that communication? I think it's on Terry McLaurin to be able to know where he needs to be set. Do I think it's a little bit of a, tic-tacky kind of call? Yeah, I do. And you could see the referee's got his hand right on his flag. He's ready to go, ready to throw that flag as soon as it seemed like he didn't get the adjustment that he was looking for from Terry McLaurin on the play. But Terry does look away on that second one. I don't know what was said. I don't know if that's one you should just allow to play out when you look at it. He's about at least a yard off the ball. I think everybody knows what he was trying to do. The guy in the slot, who I believe was Jahan Dotson, is definitely about a yard and a half behind Terry McLaurin, and maybe that kind of skewed McLaurin's perspective. But the ball was on the 1 yard line. To me, it's one of the most easiest places to line up. So I think Terry McLaurin, after the game and in the press conference, he didn't want to really own up to it. But I think in the long run, he's going to own up to that and just say, I got to line up better. If you line up better, they're not going to make that call. Now, the last game that I was at FedEx Field before this one, prior to Sunday, was the game where we had the phantom offsides call on the missed field goal on Dexter Lawrence. So it was great. It was great to see the game end like that for me. It was a bit of payback. I was in that stadium. I jumped down rows when I saw the field goal go wide. And to see that flag come up late and then for them to review it, and then we see that Dexter Lawrence wasn't offsides, it was almost like they owed us one. So the illegal formation didn't bother me. The Darnay Holmes pass interference after that play, when they got the 4th down attempt there, Taylor Heineke's trying to buy as much time as he possibly can. You got those cornerbacks out there covering for a long time. There was a lot of momentum from the wide receiver position, that was stopped, and there was a bit of a box out, I feel like, kind of happening. Do I think it was pass interference? Yeah, I do. I think it was pass interference. Am I mad that they didn't make the call? Of course not. I'm a Giants fan. And I think that you're starting to see this a lot more, that later on in the season, with the playoffs on the line, these referees are letting them play out. You don't want to be that referee to make that call. He's trying to get to the ball. It's not like he's just literally holding on and just climbing back. He's trying to get to the ball. And he's a smaller guy. I think he was getting a little bit bodied on that play for sure. And like I said, you could have called the pass interference there, but I'm not mad that they didn't make the call, especially being a Giants fan. Like, is what it is. And even if you make the call, you still got a 4th down there that you're going to have to convert, because I don't believe that a pass interference there would be an automatic first down. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think it would be an automatic first down, but nonetheless, you still got to score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion and find a way to win in overtime. So you can hang your hat on that, that for the Commanders, that play cost y'all last opportunity. That's cool. But the Giants won this game fair and square. And the drive where Washington really should have put it away was the drive before that, where Taylor Heineke ends up fumbling the ball. So I'm not going to – y'all know me. I don't blame nothing on the referees, even when it goes against us. I don't blame nothing on the referees. My whole thing is like, go out there, make the plays you can make, and don't try to keep things in your hands. Don't make it where it's on the referee and you got to look to get the right call to be able to win a game. Just go out there and try to make the plays that you can. I'm never going to be one that's blaming nothing on the referee. I might point out a bad call, and that's about it. But the referees and their lack of perfection is a part of the football game. It's a part of it. It's been a part of the game since day one. And, I wanted to bring this up as an overreaction too, but I saw Mike Florio from Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Like, he was all, unbuttoned about it. Like, it was really bothering him. Like, he was even comparing it to the, I believe that's a 30 for 30 that they did on Tim Donaghy or whatever from the NBA, who was fixing games. He was even comparing it to that. Like, well, if you can do that and then, you get into a situation like this where 2 calls matter, referee can decide a game and fix the betting. I mean, if you look at the odds, it doesn't even work out, to be honest. But I thought it was a extreme overreaction, the way that he was trying to handle that. But, I get it. When you're doing like an instant reaction, that's why I like having the benefit of at least a good night's rest before I come up here and at least do, some kind of content, because you get to think about it a little bit more and really come, with an objective type of an argument. But I saw a lot of overreactions the next day. I even saw some people on what was that? Somebody was filling in for Max Kellerman, and she seemed like a Giants fan, and she was leaning towards, all of it being pretty much, oh, Daniel Jones in the biggest spot showed up. And I'm just like, I get it. You probably didn't get much sleep. You watched the game all the way till late last night, had to wake up 4 or 5 a.m., get right to it. So I commend these people for going out here and at least trying to bring content, because if I had to do any type of Giant overreaction at 6 a.m. the next day of the game, my content would be, I would sacrifice some of my content's value, I think, if I do that. So it's another reason why I decided not to do the show yesterday, tailgating, doing all that. We was drinking, having a blast, 420 vibes is popping off. I want to come here and be prepared for that. And I do commend these national media analysts and these personalities who can come up and, try to give you some content right after, give you those instant reactions. So big shout out to them, man. I commend their efforts, but I think a lot of people had skewed opinions because of it. So I'll take those calls. Yeah, it's a little bit of an asterisk, but a win is a win all day long. Big shout out to Darnay Holmes for going out there and making a play when it mattered. Pass interference or not, he made a play when it mattered. So, and the story is Giants end up winning that game 20-12. I couldn't feel better about it. It's exactly how I felt like we would win this game. I knew it would be a bit close because the Giants are not a great team themselves. And I'm not one of these people looking at the New York Giants with a skewed eye just because we won that game and, entering Week 16 with an inflated perspective. I got to keep it real. This team could have played better in that game. They left a lot out there on the field, and we were fortunate that our defense and especially Kayvon Thibodeau showed up in a major way, because without that, I don't think we win this game. I don't think we had enough offense to win this game without what Kayvon Thibodeau was doing on the defensive side of the ball. So big shout out to them. I'm just scrolling back, trying to catch up with y'all in the chat, man. I see a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to keep this show sweet and tight for y'all today, man. Big shout out to the Giants Nation. Y'all know what it is on this Tuesday afternoon, man. Feeling great about this victory, and it's going to be good. You know, this victory week's going to be a little bit short-lived. We got a short week here. Saturday, we're going to have some football on Christmas Eve, so I'm looking forward to that, man. This is another matchup and a test that'll tell us where we're supposed to be. Going up against a great offense, you know, with the Minnesota Vikings, who are beatable. They're definitely beatable. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the competition that's going to be had in that game. And I think, you know, it's a good test for us entering the playoffs. So it's going to be great to go up against the Vikings, and the Colts are no slouch. And we know about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. They're definitely a squad to be reckoned with, man. So let's let me kind of go back and see y'all thoughts a little bit on the PI. I want to see how y'all was feeling about that stuff too. Let me see what y'all was saying here. Stephen R said that PI call should be offsetting penalties because your left tackle had a miss. I'm glad you brought that up. Illegal use of hands, and then really shouldn't even came to that play because Nick McLeod had goodwill hands. I can donate mine. Yeah, the play before that where McLeod is in perfect position. Taylor Heineke has the snap go high. He taps it, almost goes over his head, and then he's scrambling trying to make a play, and McLeod is right in position. I loved how he played that. You got to just make the catch on that play. You got to have strong hands. He didn't just drop it. You know, the wide receiver on that play definitely stepped up and, you know, got his hands in there. It was a good play by the wide receiver, but it would have been a great way to end the game on an interception like that and, you know, not had to have all this talk about the PI and whatnot. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Stephen Ars. This is another good point. Did anyone see Richie James get tackled the possession before on the third down? Yeah. He was running some kind of a 10-yard kind of like dig route or like a 10-yard stop or comeback route. And whoever that was one-on-one, no one over the top, too. They straight up just tackled him. I'm glad y'all brought these up, too, because there was another play for the Commanders on the goal line where they ran a scheme where the slot wide receiver just ran like a quick hitter out route towards the pylon, and their wide receiver that was on the outside, he's already blocking before the ball's already in the receiver's hands. And we know we've been called for that a bunch of times for pass interference when, you know, we try to run those short plays where you have a wide receiver blocking really quickly. And if you block while the ball's in the air, that should be a flag. They missed that one too. So referees were consistently inconsistent in this game. I won't go to the bank saying that the referees were good in this game because it was to our favor. They were bad in this game, and it was across the board. They missed a lot of calls throughout. So, you know, it's good to come out with a victory in a game like that, in a game like where things could have not went our way. So it was good to see that. And I see words talking about that too, talking about Kayvon getting poked in the eye. They missed it. It was a little sneaky poke. It was definitely a sneaky poke for sure. Let me see. I see Vlad is in the building one time. Shout out to Vlad in the building. New name. Vlad the Impaler. Says you need to watch other games to get that type of reference. The entire week has been full of one-sided call games. Yeah, I watch every game, by the way. I'm like, so I'm a producer by day, so I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm in this seat that I'm in the majority of my life, like straight up. And I'm down here watching ball, cooking up records, making beats, mixing records, working with clients. I watch every game just about every week. This was my first time being at a game this week, so I didn't get to watch every game this week. But I did go back and watch all the NFC East games. And I make it a point to watch all football teams across the league so that when I get into these little debates on Twitter, I can speak from a point of knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do. Referees are inconsistent. Whether they're calling lopsided games, I don't know if I can 100% agree with that. You know, even if you look at the game with the Giants against the Cowboys, man, it was so many penalties called in that game against us that didn't look like they were in our favor, but the Cowboys had more penalties that game. So, you know, as far as the refs, they're human. They're not going to be the most consistent. And until they find a way to, you know, make it computer generated where, you know, every call gets called, which I don't think I would want that either, man. I don't want a holding penalty, stopping play every other play because we know they hold on just about every play. So for me, it's like they're human. I take it with a grain of salt. And I just hope things don't go egregiously against us when it comes to the referees. But shout out to Vlad the Impaler, man. New face in the building. I don't think I've ever seen Vlad in here in the building one time, man. I'm digging that profile pic with Vlad mugging one time in the building. All right, let me just see where y'all at. The Vito Show one time says it's PI, but as a Bird fan, that's karma for the non-face mask call on my tight end. That play got him on IR. That's facts. I remember that. And when you see them miss one like that, you're just like, how did y'all miss a easy face mask call like that, digging into the helmet? The one on Daniel Bellinger that happened earlier in this year, I can't remember exactly what game that was, but they didn't call nothing on that either. And this dude had to get his whole socket, surgery on his eye socket and whatnot. So they're missing stuff, man. But there are calls where I'm like, I can't even believe they saw that, like real time. But then there are ones that are right in their face where you're just like, how did they not see that one? So like I said, man, the referees, they're consistently inconsistent. That's just what it is. And I think we're going to have to deal with that until they find a better way to be able to, assess these penalties and the non-penalties that are there. Shout out to Irish Rover one time in the building. Appreciate you donating to the channel with that $10 super chat, fan. That means a lot. Irish Rover says, Awthentik, I liked what I saw from Tibbs the whole game. Refs have good calls and bad calls. The last PI non-call would have been offset by the hands to the face to Tibbs. I am just glad Tibbs is okay. Yeah, because we're going to need, Kayvon definitely moving forward. And it would have been extremely unfortunate, after a game like that to have like some kind of eye injury. And as Giants fans, we've had to deal with that earlier this year with Daniel Bellinger. It would have been terrible to see that happen again. And Tibbs looks like he's rising up right now, man, about to play some of his best football. And I just think that yields well for the Giants. If we can continue to get pressure on a quarterback with just 4, we are going to be in for a surprise, I think, down the stretch. And the Giants should be able to hang with some teams here, man, with that good defensive play up front. So you're right about that. For Washington fans that are complaining about the non-call, you got to look at the hands to the face to Thibodeau, man. And I think you make a great point there, Irish Rover. Salute to you, and definitely appreciate that $10 super chat, man. And appreciate your presence in the building, just rocking with us. We got over 100 in the building today, man. I know the Giants Nation is feeling great, man. They in the building today, man, and we're going to chop it up a little bit longer. Talk about a couple of overreactions I saw here. One of them coming from a Twitter account from national media. The other two just coming from some folks I follow or I saw on my timeline and whatnot, man. And, I think the PI stuff, it happens, man. It's unfortunate. You hope it's not something that's extremely egregious in a big game, but a lot of y'all brought up great points that would offset the penalty anyway. So if you want the refs to be perfect and make that call, then make sure they're perfect and they're making the calls that, are against you as well, because it can't be one-sided. So good points from the chat there. All right, so I think we've gone over this game enough, a little quick hitter. We're going to talk about this a little bit more tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to get the Beard's perspective from this one. I know y'all want to see that. That's going to be Can't Miss TV from the best television show not on TV, Awthentik and the Beard. The best division in football. Y'all know what it is. Big salute to y'all being in the building. All right, man. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get off into some of these overreactions one time. All right, this first one comes from Tiki and Tierney from WFAN. I saw this one almost immediately after the game, and I thought this would be a great one to bring up from y'all or for y'all. And for those of y'all that don't know, what we do over here is we bring up statements on the screen. If you think it is an overreaction, let me see an O in the chat. You can tell me why. And if you don't think it's an overreaction and you agree with the statement on the screen, then put a U in the chat, which will represent you're taking the under. And if you need a little bit more time to get your wits together and think about your thoughts on the statement on the screen, maybe another week, maybe another 3 weeks, maybe another 4 weeks when we're in the playoff, take your time and put a P in the chat, which will represent the push. And you can take your time on that one and get back to it possibly next week. We like to bring up some of these overreactions time and time again so that people can, revisit them. One of them today is we're going to be revisiting a situation as well. It's from a different Twitter account, but it's pretty much the same kind of approach, But those are the rules here. Let me know what y'all thinking about this one. Giants are the best coached team in the league and can beat any team in the NFL if they play the way they did Sunday night. I think this one was directly from Tiki Barber, if I'm not mistaken. They did have a video clip going with this one, and this definitely was tweeted out by the Tiki and Tierney WFAN account. Let me know what y'all thinking on this one. I'm going to get a little water here and let y'all populate y'all thoughts here. Tell me why you think so as well, and then we'll go over some, and I'll give y'all my opinion on it and whatnot. Doing all this talking on a solo show, man, boy, it's crazy. It's crazy. Love having a beard here. I told him about that when we did the Daniel Jones rant. I was like, there's no way I would have been able to do that without you right here and without the chat. I tried recording it a couple times, and sometimes you just need the vibes, man. You need the gas. You need the battery in your back. You know what I'm saying? To really to come with the facts and really deliver in a proper way, man. So salute to y'all. If you missed that, I believe that was on Tuesday's preview show. It was a great rant about game-winning drives and how, you know, a lot of our game-winning drives this year have not really stuck to the definition of what a real game-winning drive is. I definitely recommend y'all check that show out. But let's talk about this one here, man. Giants are the best coach team in the league and can beat any team in the NFL if they play the way they did Sunday night. All right, I'm going to give y'all my answer right off the bat and just keep it funky with you. This is so far from the truth, it is ridiculous. I mean, you cannot forget that we just got dog walked by the Philadelphia Eagles just a week ago. And even in this game, we didn't even play that well if you think about it. It's a very average game from Daniel Jones with 160 yards through the air. You know, the air yards and the yards per attempt were not high in this game at all. QBR was good. He did his thing, 74.0 QBR, averaging 5 yards per attempt. You know, it's just a very short passing game. He did what he had to do. He didn't make any mistakes. In the running department, Saquon Barkley, 87 yards. I always talk about that's like just good enough to win a game, you know, when you get Saquon over 80. In the receiving department, not much stands out here. You know, Richie James, 4 catches for 42 yards on 5 targets. Isaiah Hodgins, 4 catches on 4 targets. I love to see that perfect 100% catch rate right there. He had 37 yards on the 4 catches. Saquon Barkley had 5 receptions for 33 yards, and Darius Slayton had 5 receptions for 23 yards. So, you know, even keel across the board as far as, you know, what the wide receiver department and the pass catchers did. But we still struggled up against a team that is not that good. You put this team in front of one of the really good teams in the league, this game from Sunday night does not beat a lot of teams. You can't go up against the Philadelphia Eagles playing like that, and you can't go up against the Minnesota Vikings playing like that. You know, only 13 points, I believe it was, or 12 points. 13 points, I believe it was, from the offense. You know, you get the strip sack, scoop and score from Kayvon Thibodeau. That's 7 on the board right there. You're not going to win a lot of games playing like this. Defensively, it was a good game. Offensively, you're going to need more output from the offense. That's just my thoughts on it. Let me see what all of y'all are saying here. I do see a couple of split opinions here one time. Let me see. We're scrolling back. I'm trying to get all of y'all one time. Oh, Sebastian, I appreciate the super chat, my brother. Sebastian with the 199 super chat. He says, until the refs are robots, calls won't be perfect. That's facts. That's a great way to put a cap on that PI situation over there one time. Definitely appreciate you donating to the channel, my guy. That means a lot. Sebastian been rocking with us since day one, yo. Sak passe, mon cher. I hope all is well. Ou connaît ma boule. You know what it is. So let's see here. I'm just looking at the flipping sports guy. That's a funny comment right there, yo. Appreciate you pulling up the flipping sports guy. That means a lot. So Zoe Nick says it's an overreaction. Sebastian says it's an overreaction. Rozelle in the building. Shout out to Rozelle one time in the building. Rozelle says it's an overreaction as well. Sebastian says we are well coached, but beating every team, nah. And I'm right there with you. And I think we're well coached, but I don't know if we're the best coach team in the NFL. I do think we're like a top 5 coach team in the NFL right now, though, for sure. Max Webster says, give him a U on the first half and an O on everything after the word and. So let me read this one time. Overreaction on and can beat any team in the NFL if they play the way they did Sunday night. Yeah, the second half is definitely the part that's like egregiously an overreaction to me for sure. And I'm surprised to see this out of a WFAN account with Tiki and Tierney, because I feel like they're very objective for the most part, but it seems like they're leaning a little bit more towards like rooting for like the getting Daniel Jones paid and this team is kind of, you know, back to playing good football. I mean, it's just 1 week. We got our asses handed to us against the Philadelphia Eagles in one of the worst performances we've seen from this whole entire team all year long. Offensively, defensively, special teams, all 3 phases, we were awful. So it surprised me to see this one. Let me see what else y'all are talking here. Crypto Move says it's an overreaction. They lack talent to beat any team. Yeah, that's facts. I think we can compete with all the good teams in the league when we're playing like we played yesterday. Defense making stops, running the ball fairly well. Daniel Jones taking care of the ball, not making mistakes. You can beat a lot of teams like that. And that's how we've won. That's how we got to 8 wins this season, was just like that. Rozelle says overreaction. Flippin' Sports Guy says overreaction because of the talent level. Let me see. Rozelle also says that Joe Judge would have had us with the Texans record. Stop it. Yeah, that's true. And Joe Judge, that regime couldn't finish. They just didn't know how to win games. Like, when they get down to fourth quarter crunch time, they made a lot of mistakes. So I agree with you on that. Ivan Felipe one time in the building says he's taking the under since we got very few good players on the team. Yeah, I think not having a well-developed roster is one of the reasons why I think this is an overreaction, is because you're not going to go out here and beat any team with this roster. I don't think so. There's a lot of teams out there I think that you don't win against with this roster. And, just with the way that we've been playing games and the way we've been coaching and just all across the board, these conservative game plans, they don't beat any team with this to me. Lesnar's in the building one time, says it's an overreaction. Our offense and secondary are suspect. Oh, yeah. And our linebackers are suspect, too. Don't forget about that. Offensive line is extremely suspect. I'll say this, too. Seeing this game in person, to me, the biggest liability on this team now is the offensive line. And I think that's why Kafka came out with the quick pass attack to kind of cover up those blemishes that he's been seeing probably week to week with the interior offensive line, especially. Evan Neal stepped up and had a much better game this week. I watched every one of his snaps from Bobby Skinner. Shout out to Talking Giants, man. They do a really good job of getting that content out really quickly. And I try my best to retweet all that stuff from Talking Giants, from Nick Foletto, who he broke down the play that I showed you with Isaiah Hodgins coming across the middle, man. Great breakdown. I recommend y'all definitely go check that out. I pinned it to the conversation where I tweeted that same video out. Nick Foletto you're going to see Nick Foletto on TV soon. That dude is incredible at what he does. Great speaker, knows the game really well, high football IQ. Yeah, just great setup, great quality. I love what he's doing over there. Him and Dan Schneider, I believe it is. I can never pronounce his last name because I'm so used to Dan Schneider over here in Washington. But both of them, they do a really good job. If you're looking for, like, other dope content across the Giants community, both of them are really, really good. Big shout out to them. Let me see. The Vito Show says it's an overreaction. The offense doesn't put up enough points. Yeah, facts. Lou Mateo's taking the under one time, and he says, you think Joe Judge can beat these teams? No, he'd rather kneel down before COD. Coaching matters. Yeah, the coaching matters, and our coaching is top 5. No doubt about it. But this team can't beat every team in the league, even if we've played. You could take our best game we've played this year. Maybe you look at the Packers, Titans. Carolina was a pretty good game. Ravens was a pretty good game. Any of those performances, I don't think they beat the best teams in the league. Kevin the PRF says it's an overreaction. They can beat anyone standing across from our sorry coaching staff. I like that. Word says it's an overreaction. There's a lot to be fixed still. Yeah, and we played an average team. To me, that's the best way to assess it. The Giants really haven't played their best football yet. Like, when the defense is extremely clicking and playing good football like they did last night, the offense doesn't really show up. You see that, man. You definitely see that. And Lesnar says, can we please stop the run? Yeah, we got to work on that. They were better in this game to an extent, but, what I noticed is they're getting helmets on the runner, but a guy like Brian Robinson, he was extending every run by like 4, 5, 6 yards every time, dragging the pile. Physical runner. And we got to find a way to slow that down. Like, they just have not been good this year at stopping the run. Shout out to Brandon Plays one time in the building. I think Brandon's a new face. Welcome to the fam. If this is your first time rocking with us, salute to you for being in the building. He says that's just Tiki kissing Giants fans' asses. It might be. I think I really don't know where this take kind of came from, because I got a chance to talk with Tiki Barber in the offseason about the Giants and about Daniel Jones and moving forward, and his take was a little bit opposite on that. But I think, when a team is winning, and especially when you're dealing with WFAN and ratings do matter, we all know that, like, when you have positive vibes on your channel and you kind of gloss over the realistic stuff, it's good for views. But for me, I'm not into the content creation game strictly for views. I'd like to see our channel prosper, obviously, but I'm not in it for views. I'm in it to give you a realistic take. And, y'all know my saying over here. I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm not going to be pessimistic. I'm going to try to keep it as realistic as possible. And at times that might look like, you're kind of up and down on your takes and whatnot. But I try to stick to the script, man, and try to keep it as real as possible. And I've said it all year long. I've said it all last year. I thought Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. He's an average quarterback in the league right now. Can you win games with him? Most definitely. Should the Giants look to upgrade the quarterback position if they can? Definitely. And that goes for every other position on this team. Like, I'm a player first kind of guy, you know. And when you go out there and you can show that you can be above the X's and O's, I'm gonna give you your props all day long. I'm gonna try to be as objective as possible. OG Knockout knows this from experience from me in my comment section all day long. I will agree with him and I will not agree with him at times. And I try to stay on my stance as much as I can. But if OG Knockout were to give me something that is can have me pivot from my stance, I will pivot all day long. All day long. If you tell me, in response to me saying, hey, Daniel Jones, his yards per attempt is down, and then you bring up EPA stats that, trump that, I'll be like, all right, you're right on that for sure. Or if you bring up a game like, where Daniel Jones runs for 35 yards on a game-winning drive, I'll give you props on that and say, hey, on that drive, you could call that one a game-winning drive. Or, Darius Slayton dropping the ball. What was that? Against Dallas, I believe that was. Maybe that was the game. Maybe that was after Dallas. The high throw. I can't remember which game that was. Where when we did our instant reaction, I was like, I don't know, man, that throw looked a little high. Looked at it on a 22-man cam. People brought it to my attention. I went back and apologized to everybody who I had a conversation with where I said the throw looked high. I wasn't out there disrespecting nobody. I'm just keeping it funky with him and just keeping it real. That's how I'm going to do over here all day long. Win or lose, I'm not going to come up here and just give you the mascot vibes like, oh, we played great. And look, nah. My whole thing is to try to dissect the game so that when I look back at this content, I can say, oh, that week, that's how I felt about it, and have a running track record of realistic takes, at least the best I could possibly do. That's all I'm trying to do here. So I'm all for that, assessing the game with a realistic view, but the stuff for views and all that, maybe that's why this came out like this. It had a video attached to it. I couldn't tell you, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, that don't strike me like them. They seem to be, for the most part, a bit realistic. Mac, the Giants fan, says it's an overreaction, not with this roster. Mobster Music agrees with the statement on the screen, thinks that we can beat any team in the league playing the way we played on Sunday night. Respect to that opinion. I definitely got to disagree with that one. Let me see. Zoe Nick says our offensive coaches just don't stand up against other teams. I kind of agree with you on this a little bit. And I feel like Mike Kafka's a bit of an extension of Daniel Jones. They're like Wink Martindale's a rah-rah kind of dude, talk his shit. You're going to see Wink Martindale partying in the locker room with Jihad Ward and all them after a victory, turning up, giving you trap dances and trap elbows, right? Mike Kafka's a bit of an extension of Daniel Jones, where it's very reserved, very timid, very quiet when you see him in a press conference. And sometimes you just need that dog. Like, you just need that dog somewhere, whether it be the quarterback, the offensive coordinator. And in our case, I do think we got that dog in a head coach, with Brian Dable. So I think it does kind of balance it out. But I can kind of agree with you here. There's that unwillingness to put the game away when you have those opportunities. Not so much in this game, but definitely in our past couple of games here. If you look at the past 6 games, Giants, especially in the tie to the Commanders, they had some opportunities there to put that game away. And you relying on a conservative game plan, kind of acting scared to put the game away. And I think in return, that's why the Giants had the 6 straight punts in the second half of regulation. And then the missed field goal entering halftime, only 21 yards in the second half of regulation in that game. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Zoe Nick is saying right here. So that's a good point. Bell's taking an overreaction. Let me see. Chris Peace. Shout out to Chris Peace one time in the building. Says under if we are healthy, over if not. So push. I like the push. That's a safe route. I even think healthy. I don't know if we could manage with the best of the best, simply because of what's happening on the offensive side of the ball. Dare I say that with this wide receiver core, we've looked the best that this offense has kind of looked. When we were healthy on offense, this offense really wasn't doing too much anyway, and that scared me. When you had Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't even know if you had all 3 of them in the lineup at once, but you had Richie James out there with Galladay, Kadarius Toney, and the productivity just wasn't there. So I like the push. It's a good, safe move. Todd Taylor says that Tiki was wildly overreacting here. I like Tiki, but this is a pure homer take in the moment. Yeah, I love Tiki Barber. Love him as a player. I love him as an analyst. great speaker. Inspires everything that I do, but I do think this is just an overreaction. It's just, you hype after the game, maybe didn't really assess things, offensively to a T, and you can come out here and say something like this. I've done this before too, so I don't fault him for sure. Let me see. And D. Biddle, this is a good point too. There is an argument, but it's not a measurable statement. This is a good way to sum that up. Great way to sum that up. Shout out to James William one time in the building, man. I appreciate you pulling up, rocking with us. Tell your man Tim from Online Big Blue, man, we need him. We need him in this community, man. Don't quit making content. We need him. I hope he reconsiders that and sticks around because he's one of the more objective channels out there, man. And these trolls and all that stuff, they can, they could get you a little bit, man, but sometimes you got to just have that Wink Martindale kind of vibe. You got to have that big dog vibe and do what you do. And remember why you first got into it. When I look at the music industry, it's very like that too. Like I've been staggering putting out this new album because through my tenure of being an artist, I've always been against the machine when it comes to music. I've always been about the underground, dating all the way back to my days of, listening and being inspired by like Talib Kweli, Mos Def, the whole pre-Run the Jewels era with Def Jux and all the stuff they was doing. I was a big, just advocate of F the mainstream type of vibes when I was coming up. And the music industry has pivoted and made some changes that, yeah, you gotta make those same pivots yourself and adjust accordingly, but not change who you are. And I think you can never forget why you got into something. Like when I look at the music industry today and what all these young people are inspired by when it comes to music and whatnot, I'm like, this is a joke straight up. And at times you can feel like there's no place for you, to be honest. You're like, these dudes is doing dances, selling dope, murdering people on beats when I'm like literally a conscious rapper trying to bring like a knowledgeable perspective, to the hip hop culture, the community, and to the streets that we come from. And at times it can feel like there's no place for that. But I still think you got to remain you and always go back to why you got into it. And always look back at that day one and how you got in and try to use that as the fuel to fire your content. So big shout out to Tim, man. I hope Tim stays in this content creation game because he's a guy that we need. We need him in this community. He brings value to this community. And big shout out to D. Biddle for an objective take right there. Big shout out to you for that too. Let me see. Alvaro's in the building. Shout out to Alvaro talking about Daniel Jones, no sacks. How about that? Very important. Quick passing game, man. That was great. It was great for us. I loved it, and I didn't expect it. I had no idea they were going to come out and try to do a spread them out, quick pass attack. I saw Daniel Jones with an empty backfield a lot throughout the first half, and I was just like, surprise, But I love what they did with it. It worked out on a cold evening at FedEx Field. They found a way to, move the sticks to a certain extent and convert in key moments because that 2 for 10 is not good. It goes to show you how bad they were on third down, but the fourth down conversion was pivotal, and I think that was that fourth down conversion and the Kayvon Thibodeau strip sack and the Taylor Heineke fumble. Those are the 3 biggest moments of the game for me. Let me see what else we got here, just making sure y'all all caught up. Let me see what James talking since he just got in the building. James said, if our coaches are top tier, which they are, then why does everyone want them to keep an average quarterback when they can get someone better and really show out? We're gonna take a little swig of water off that one, James. I like that. So y'all can answer this question if y'all want to in the chat as well, too. This is a good question. This is a good question. This will put you on the spot question that a lot of other people going dip, dodge, duck, dive, duck. Shout out to Patches O'Houlihan. So this is the thing. Number one, you got to make sure you can go get that quarterback, right? Because getting a new quarterback is all about setting it up for the future. If you see that guy in this draft, I'm 1,000% on board that you go get him. If you could bring back Daniel Jones on like a team-friendly type of deal that don't break the bank for a year or two while you develop and get this young quarterback to mature, because the one quarterback that I got my eyes on is Anthony Richardson. He does seem like he will be an NFL project for sure. I don't know if I'd want to see him get thrusted in day one into the starting lineup. We know he's got comparables to Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is a guy that didn't start day one either. And I think that a lot of these quarterbacks can benefit from sitting on the bench. But you don't want to pull like what's my man, Jordan Love from the Green Bay Packers, where he sits on the bench almost all the way throughout his rookie contract, because now entering next season, you got a decision to make on him. Not many teams are going to want to take upon a contract from a rookie that's in his last year of the deal and have to exercise that fifth-year option. So for me, if you see that quarterback in the draft, go get him. I don't see that quarterback in free agency. I don't see that quarterback on this roster per se, although I do think that Tyrod Taylor could be very serviceable. But if you see the guy, go get him. You cannot sit back and deal with average play at the quarterback position and be okay with that. It's all about upgrading the roster. The quarterback is the number one position, so if you can upgrade that position, you go out there and you do it. That's as direct as I can answer that question. Daniel Jones has been an average quarterback throughout his whole tenure with the New York Giants. I think that although he has not had the right offensive line around him and not great weapons at the wide receiver position, that shouldn't stop somebody from assessing the kind of quarterback that he is. Does he go above and beyond these players that are on this roster? Probably not. Can he win you games? Probably so. Right now, the Giants are sitting on 8 wins. My thing is, hey, you get the 9 wins. If you can't find a better option than Daniel Jones out there, don't pull the legs out beneath the table and just let the table collapse, because we got to eat, bro. We definitely got to eat. I'm not trying to go back to losing. So big shout out to James. I think he brings up a really good point here. This is something that we all going to be thinking about when we get to the offseason and the draft starts to appear, and you know, we're getting ready for that. We're all going to be thinking about this. If the Giants got a pick and Anthony Richardson is on the table, I'm taking him. 1,000%. I'm taking him. I appreciate you pulling up, James. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Let me see. And James, yeah, he said facts over feelings. Always speak the truth, brother. You know it. That's all I can do, man. I try to live by it. Somebody was saying on my Twitter, it's social media. Nothing is the truth. And I was like, let me tell you something. There's a couple things you're going to get that's absolutely real for me. If you show me respect on social media, you don't ever got to worry about me disrespecting you ever. Like, never. I'm never going to be up there disrespecting these players either. You're not going to see me calling Daniel Jones absolute garbage, absolute trash, or none of that. I reiterate these points a lot because I want people to know, you know, the perspective that I come from. Because I don't think that our quarterback's garbage, and it's like, oh, you got to go replace him right now because we got garbage at the quarterback position. Nah, this dude's out here doing some things with a limited game plan, and it's very conservative. Yeah, it doesn't look great on the highlights. Yeah, it doesn't look great on the stat box sometimes, but he's keeping us in position to be able to at least have a chance to win games. And I would look at a guy like Justin Fields, who I think is a much better athlete than Daniel Jones right now. But look at their record right now. They're sitting on 3 wins. And they're sitting on 3 wins for a reason. There's a lot of mistakes that are being made with Justin Fields as well, although we do see the high ceiling and the kind of playmaker that he can be. This guy's he's one of the, not even one of, he is the only quarterback to have over 3 50-yard runs in a single regular season. He is making plays, and you see it every week. Yeah, that guy has a higher ceiling. I think I know what I got in Daniel Jones. At the same time, you know, I don't want to be in here just like developing a quarterback. I want to be developing a football team. The quarterback is a part of that. So it's always facts over feelings with me, James. Appreciate you pulling up and rocking with me, man, when you can. I definitely appreciate that. And OG Knockout, you already know what it is. Respect all day long, all day long. Let me see. And OG said, we agree on most things. I just don't think Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback. Game managers shouldn't get paid like a franchise quarterback. We need a franchise quarterback soon. I 1,000% agree with you that game managers should not be paid like a franchise quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, you saw the deal that he came back on. You know, I don't know the exact numbers, but he wasn't paid like a franchise quarterback. He's paid like a guy who could come in, be serviceable, and they weren't looking at him as the starter at the beginning of the season until Trey Lance went down and got hurt. So I'm with you on that, OG. You already know. And I hope that's why this deal with Daniel Jones makes it's so important that they get that done right for the future of the quarterback position for the New York Giants. And if you are going to pay him, which it does seem like a lot of these media analysts and beat writers are leaning towards, most of them are leaning towards that. But from what I'm getting from the community, people are like, they're not going to re-sign him. Somebody's going to be wrong in this case. But the one thing that can't be wrong is how you pay him. You cannot pay him like he's some elite starter. You cannot do that. We've seen these contracts, people making the mistakes, and I won't even say that the Dak Prescott contract is a mistake per se, but you're seeing how critical people get of your play once you get that $40 million plus. With Daniel Jones, I think it's even going to be a question mark if you go on $30 million plus, but I'm not here to count nobody's pockets. I just hope that Joe Shane and his front office make the right decision and the Giants continue to win games and they make the right decision for the future as well as for the present. The future is going to be more important. I'm okay with one season going a little bit, a little left to be able to have that franchise guy in place. And I'm okay also with bringing back Daniel Jones to get a bigger sample size from him on the right deal. I'm totally okay with that, and draft your guy. Now, I know people are talking about that. You can go out there and draft your guy as well. And I got a couple of super chats in here, man. Shout out to y'all for being in the building, man. Stephen Lilly is in the building from across the pond one time. Appreciate that super chat one time. He says, hiya, bud. Still buzzing from number 5 plays. He gonna be a beast for us and want to say feel for the beard. Hope he not too down. Merry Xmas to everyone. Yeah, man. Happy holidays to you too, Stephen Lilly. The beard is never too high, never too low. I challenged him on last show with my confidence in the New York Giants, and he still kept a very even keel. That's how the beard always is. He's never going to get too down about a loss, until they're knocked out of playoff contention. He knows they got to go out there and handle their own business now from here on out, and they'll be in the playoffs. The goal here is to get all 4 teams from the NFC East in the playoffs. The Beard's dealing with a little bit of a bruise on his shin. I think that's the number one thing that he's worried about when he woke up this Tuesday morning. 6-footer table kind of took a slam and hit him in his shin. And he was on them Peter Griffin vibes. I could see he was in pain with the kind of vibes, Hope he's doing better. But I know the Beard, man, he never gets too low, never gets too high. So he should be all right. Don't forget to pull up at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. He's going to be here with me. We're going to be chopping it up about the NFC East recap and going over all the games and whatnot, man. And we'll get to see the tone. We'll get to see the vibe. I know they missed on a couple of stops on the roadmap. We'll definitely be going over that for sure, man. But appreciate you pulling up, Stephen Lilly. You've been a great supporter to the channel, man. Big salute to you, brother. Crypto Moves is in the building one time, too. Sights and Sounds video, number 26, yelling. Definitely hyping them. I cannot wait to see that. I saw the Kayvon Thibodeau pregame speech. I loved it. Love that energy. That's them big dog vibes I love to see, man. That's definitely what you want to see from your playmakers, your leaders of the team. And Kayvon Thibodeau is slowly but surely becoming a face for this team and one of the leaders in this locker room. Love to see it. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to check out that Sights and Sound video. Salute to you, Crypto Moves, on that 420 super chat. We smoking that. Washington Commanders packed today. My left hand is up for a whole different reason today. So shout out to you, man. Let me see who else is in the building. We're just making sure what's going on. Let me see. James Williams, we can bring some attention to this too. We are all going to need you in the Beard. Facts over feelings, brother. You are appreciated, and put that album out. You already know, man. Salute. Definitely appreciate that, man. Working on some new vibes, a new tone, just a whole new presentation for this next one. I always like to up the ante, so it'll be here soon, man. God willing, it'll be here soon. I definitely appreciate that support, James. Let me see. Shout out to Solving the Race Problem. That's a new name in the building. Appreciate you pulling up one time. Loving the name already. Says there's no Mahomes sitting around waiting to play for NY. Yeah, Mahomes, I always tell people Patrick Mahomes is in a class of his own. It go Patrick Mahomes, and then it's tier 1 with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and I still put Lamar Jackson in that class right there. I think that Justin Herbert is knocking on that door, and then you got some franchise quarterbacks that are behind that, and that's about it. Mahomes, different class. But I do think, man, Anthony Richardson could be a guy. Big arm, has all the running capabilities you need out of a modern-day quarterback to be able to buy time. Fairly accurate, but there are times when you do see inaccuracies, and he's got that winner, that it factor that I like out of the quarterback position. But I'm not here to be ragging on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones doing a good job game managing, doing his thing, keeping his team in games. Outside of that Philadelphia Eagles game, we've been in every game. So, I'm all for it. Giants sitting at 8 wins. That's great. That's great right there. And solving the problem, you reiterate that a little bit. Jones is serviceable. He's fine. Now, I'm with you on that. The only thing I'll add to that, where my opinion might be similar, might differ, is if you can upgrade the position, even if it looks like a future move, make that move. Don't go out here and spend a bunch of big bucks, trying to bring in some older guy. The Giants are about the future right now. It's about the future being bright, and I think they're doing a good job. First year, from this regime in the front office, they've done some good things. This draft class has definitely been injury-prone. We've seen that the first year here. I hope they can clean that up this next year. They left a couple things out there on that draft board, if you ask me. I think George Pickens might have been one of them. A few other things here and there. Cordell Flott's not looking to be the guy who I thought he might be. but we're early. I can pump the brakes and respect that. And at the quarterback position, you know, you got to assess it and make the right move. Like I said about the money, it's important that you make the right decision on Daniel Jones' contract. It's extremely important. But shout out to Solving the Race Problem. Dope name, and definitely appreciate you being in the building, rocking with us. I think this is my first time seeing your name in the chat. Welcome to the family. We're going to be here tonight doing an extensive deep dive on the NFC East, recapping Week 15. So we're going to go over this game again with the Beard, my co-host, the best co-host in the country, and we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles game against the Bears and the Cowboys matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Should be a really good time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we got the whole night to really do what we do. We won't be up against the clock, so that should be a really good one. Shout out to you, though, one time, fam. Appreciate you pulling up. He's Cooper Rush with legs, homie. I ain't mad at that. Cooper Rush came in and won 4 games, 4-1. I feel you. That's not bad. Cooper Rush, very decisive. I think Cooper Rush is probably a little more decisive than Daniel Jones, but this game plan we saw on Sunday night against the Commanders, Daniel Jones was definitely decisive, and that's why he didn't get sacked. And I always talk about, you know, an offensive line's best friend is a decisive quarterback. That's why you see these games like this where stat box, 0 sacks. That's amazing to see. That's amazing to see. D. Biddle says that DJ has taken a step forward from last year in a new system again. That plays a role in his play that I don't think people realize. I'm with you on that. And I'm telling you, it's like there's not a lot of people that are just like even on Daniel Jones. Like people are either very extreme, like he's not the guy, or people are very extreme, like he's a franchise quarterback, he's the greatest quarterback in the league, blah, 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 blah. I'm just right in the middle. Like he's a good quarterback. He's an average quarterback. He does some things well. There's some things that he doesn't do well. And on that Isaiah Hodgins reception, you can see that was one of the things I thought Daniel Jones doesn't do well that he did well. He looked off a couple of receivers on that play, got to his second or third read, and made a great throw with pressure in his face. If he can get consistent at those things, he'll be a above average quarterback and possibly a great one. Who knows? You know, possibly a great one. But it's all about the consistency. It's all about the consistency for me with Daniel Jones. And I'm just scrolling here, just catching up to y'all, man, making sure we all right one time. I think for the most part, we were all in agreement on this one here. You know, the Giants are the best coached team in the league and can beat any team in the NFL if they play the way they did Sunday night. It's that's probably an overreaction, I'm going to say. And I can say that with confidence. Shout out to Scotty Booms one time in the building, man. Scotty, I hope you're doing well, man. I ain't got to holler at you since I think like your birthday. We got to get up and kick it sometime, man, and just catch up, man. Hope all is well, man. Hope you're doing good entering the holidays, man. I know this can be a tough time, man, entering the holidays, man. Work gets tougher. We got to get gifts under them trees, man. We got the youngins we got to take care of. We got the wifeys we got to take care of. But big shout out to Scotty one time. He wants to know, what is Daniel Jones' ceiling? I think Daniel Jones' ceiling is higher than a guy like Ryan Tannehill. Can he get there? I don't know, because he does a lot of things similar to a guy like Ryan Tannehill, but his running capability is a bit better to me. And you're starting to see a guy who doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't make the mistakes. If he can start making some of these throws down the field, I think you got a guy who's like in a class of his own maybe. There aren't many pocket passers that can run like Daniel Jones. I will say that. But he's hesitant. He's very reluctant to take the big shots, and he doesn't read the field that great. Those are the knocks I have on him, but he can make the throws. You saw the 4th and 9 throw outside the hash to Richie James. That's a dart. The one to Isaiah Hodgins on 3rd down across the middle on that little slant route, that's a dart. The throw that I think he struggles with maybe a little bit is the deeper out concepts outside of the hash marks. You know, the 10, 12, and out. You know, there's a certain route that Kurt Warner brought up in 2021 when Jason Garrett was the offensive coordinator. And he talked about, like, why would you run the fly route to try to, you know, clear things out on the outside when you have a one-on-one? Your wide receiver should have an option there to be able to run either a deep 12 to 15-yard out, you know, or be able to curl that route to the inside. And when that route is curled to the outside, Daniel Jones struggles with that route, I think. So the velocity is looking better from time to time. The number one thing is consistency. You know, Ryan Tannehill, the thing that makes him who he is he's consistently who he is. Daniel Jones in this offense has been getting a lot more consistent. I will say that. If he can start to read the field a little bit better and you know, maybe they get some talent around him, you can maybe see this guy get closer to his ceiling. So far with this roster and the way things that have played out so far, Daniel Jones, to me, is an average quarterback in the league. You know, he can set you apart from guys like Taylor Heineke, who I think is below average, not far below it, but I do think he's below average. And I think Daniel Jones is just, you know, he's an average quarterback right now. He can be a starter in this league, no doubt about it. We're looking for him to elevate the play. And I think for Daniel Jones to elevate his play, the offensive line interior-wise has to get better. That's one of the knocks I will say on his skill set. The lateral movement is not there. So if you got people bringing pressure right down the pike, he's not the guy that's going to peel out to his left or his right and be able to buy time. In the modern day in NFL 2022, you got to be able to buy time at the quarterback position, or you need a stout offensive line. And not a lot of teams have a stout offensive line that can sit a pocket passer back there and have all day to throw. So that's my thinking on it. Shout out to Lax044 one time in the building for the $9.99.99 super chat one time. He says, I think some Giants fans on Twitter have a very unrealistic expectation of replacing Jones in the draft. A lot of people say we have to find the next Mahomes, and the chances of that are very slim. From what I see, I don't see a lot of people saying we got to find the next Mahomes, but they do want that guy at the quarterback position, right? And there are, I totally agree with you, Lax, a bunch of unrealistic expectations of how we replace Jones and this offense. Some people are as willing to say that they'd go through 2 to 3 years of struggling to try to find out, you know, if they can find another quarterback that is the franchise guy that is better than Daniel Jones. My thinking is bring back Daniel Jones on the right deal. That's what I think right now, because he's proven that you can win games with him. And the previous regimes, yeah, they ran a very similar conservative style, right? It wasn't working, though, like this. And I know a lot of that, some people could say, hey, but the schedule this year, you know, leans towards more victories. And I agree with you on that, too. There's always going to be something that somebody could say to debunk somebody's thought process on what Daniel Jones and his value is to this team. But I think he knows the system now. He's getting more comfortable in it. He's not turning the ball over. With the way that Jalen Hurts played this past weekend with the interceptions, Daniel Jones now, I think, moves into the number 1 spot as far as touchdown to interception ratio. I believe he's 3-1 now, which is pretty decent, you know. But for me, it's like, can he stretch the field more, and can he make some bigger plays deep down the field? That's what we want to see from Daniel Jones. I don't think you're going to see a guy who's going to turn into Lamar Jackson overnight and be able to avoid pressure. I don't think that. And it is going to make it more difficult when you have a guy who's more of a pocket passer. But if you solidify that offensive line and get yourself somebody really good in this draft, left guard, maybe a right guard, we see what happens when Bredesen is healthy. It looks a lot better up front. Daniel Jones, in return, can play better football, but it would take for him to stretch the field for me to be that guy moving forward. Twitter is super unrealistic. Both sides of the coin, bro. It's just extremely unrealistic. And I don't know why people can't just step back and be objective. And I see these fools, man, they delete their tweets after they're completely proven wrong on them, or they block you like, you know, 7th graders and whatnot. And that's whack. That's whack. If you're not on social media to be social, then set your tweets to private and just leave it at that. That's how I look at it. But shout out to Lax one time with the 999 super chat, bro. You one of the day ones, man, and we appreciate you rocking with us, man, and showing support with us, man. You know, throughout this whole entire journey, man. Yeah, it's been a long journey here on Awthentik and the Beard, man. And shout out to Scotty for pulling up, man. Our co-host when we first started this show, put his foot into this content with us the first couple of years, man. Big salute to Scotty one time in the building. Stephen Lilly coming in with the super chat one time from across the pond. He says, compare DJ to Hurts. Wasn't amazing last year. Eagles unhealthy. This year, they stay healthy, add some parts, get some great weapons, and now look at him, MVP. Yeah, now, this is what I will say about Jalen Hurts. I saw it not only last year, the year before that. And Steven, you've been here for a while with us. Y'all know how me and the Beard have felt about Jalen Hurts. You know, he's a guy who has all of the skill sets to be able to do the things you need to do at the quarterback position. And dare I say that you're more valuable to your team if you have real elusivity and a running capability from the quarterback position and less arm talent than the guys who have all the arm talent and don't have the ability to move around in the pocket. Jalen Hurts was a guy last year on a team that everybody thought was going to be last place in the division. And if you didn't think that, you are definitely an outlier. Everyone thought the Philadelphia Eagles were going to be at the bottom of the barrel in that division, especially pre-draft. They go out there, they get Devonta Smith in the draft. Yeah, that helped. But as a rookie, he was not some major bright spot. It wasn't like a Jamar Chase kind of, draft pick that just comes in and right away you see the impact. Outside of that, he was throwing to Greg Ward and a bunch of y'all, people want to call our guys practice squad guys. Well, that's who he was throwing to as well. A bunch of guys, that nobody really knows. Quez Watkins, who was okay. He was banged up a bit last year as well. But Jalen Hurts still showed you in that system that he could score 26 total touchdowns and lead the number one rushing team in the NFL in rushing yards. He even got Jordan Howard paid. He had every running back in that backfield looking better than they really are. So to me, it was showing me that he was a player that could elevate the team around him. When Daniel Jones was in his struggle mode, it wasn't that. It wasn't a guy that was elevating the team around him. So for me, it's Jalen Hurts already had the tools, and that's why you're seeing an MVP-like season this year, because they added the weapons around him, the number one weapon being A.J. Brown. But let's not forget, A.J. Brown is also having a career year this year. I'm not sure if he scored a touchdown in this past game, but entering Week 14, he was one touchdown away from tying a career best, and he was 75 yards away from tying his career best in receiving yards. There's plenty of games left for him to do that. So what are we saying there? Is Jalen Hurts the best quarterback that A.J. Brown has probably played with? I would say yes. So it's a little bit of everything. And I don't like to compare Daniel Jones too much to Jalen Hurts. I think that with what has been put to paper so far, Jalen Hurts has proved that he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones right now. If you just eliminate circumstances, just use your eyes and look at it. It's surprising to see Jalen Hurts get hurt. He's been a tough kid throughout the year, and that's one thing that I liked about him. He's very durable, but he took a big hit in that game. Shoulder kind of got collapsed on him. It's surprising that he didn't break his collarbone. There was some differences in the reports that we saw. Some were saying collarbone, some were saying shoulder. I've been tackled just like that and broke my collarbone. And I was like it was my throwing arm. I was moving my arm around like this. Like, I remember my homie Patrick, rest in peace, his dad was like, yeah, just stretch it out, man. You be all right. And we stretched it out. I finished the game with the broken collarbone and everything, threw some throws. I overthrew some people, actually. I was like rookie of the year out there. And the following Monday, my collarbone was broken. So if it is a collarbone injury, they're saying it's shoulder now. If it is a collarbone injury, Hurts will be able to come back in about 3 weeks. If it's a broken collarbone, he'll come back in about 3 weeks, tender, sore, but be able to go out there and make some plays. But shout out to you, Stephen Lilly, man. I definitely appreciate all the super chats today, bro. Like, the support, you already know. We can't do this without y'all, man. Big salute to all of y'all, and all y'all opinions are valuable here, man. We definitely appreciate all of y'all pulling up and, venting a little bit, because that's what I like to do after a victory. People want to take a victory and just go, oh, we won the game, and, it's all claps and it's all high fives. But I want to dissect it and look at it like, where can the team get better? So I try to do that with the opening, and I also try to do that with all the giant overreactions. I try to make them like some overreactions that might split the room. We try to keep them right there, man. But big shout out to you, Stephen Lilly. We appreciate that one time, man. Yeah, Kevin and PR, if 31 teams want the next Mahomes, for sure. We all want that. We all want that, but sometimes you gotta take what you got there one time. Shout out to Mr. Finesse one time in the building, man. Appreciate you pulling up, my guy. Irish Rover says, my son convinced me that DJ will stay in NY for less money than he may get in free agency. DJ could get more money going to a team that could get him killed. I mean, that's facts. And if I was him, it's like, for the first time in your career, something is working. I'd stick with it. I would negotiate the deal as best as I can and try to remain a Giant. 100%. So I agree with you, Irish Rover, and your son. Your son dropping gems one time. I like that. Let me see what OG Knockout talking about here one time. He says, look at all the receivers the Giants got that come from other teams. Their stats was good elsewhere until Daniel Jones. It's not the receivers, it's Daniel Jones. Send Galladay to KC. That's funny. I agree with it to an extent, but a guy like Richie James, who really hasn't seen the opportunity, his numbers have gone up year by year by year. We were talking about him a lot on Twitter today, and I think he's seen some of his best productivity with Daniel Jones at the quarterback this year. Golden Tate looked okay with Daniel Jones, but it seemed like Joe Judge and that regime were a little bit reluctant to get him involved. And you can't forget he was suspended for the first 4 games. But when he was out there on the field, I like what Golden Tate did. I don't got the numbers in front of me, but Golden Tate was all right. We haven't seen Darius Slayton on no other teams. We saw Kadarius Toney over there with the Kansas City Chiefs. Looks about the same. I'm trying to think what other guys we've seen on other teams. Isaiah Hodgins is a guy that you didn't get to see too much of, but looking real good out here with Daniel Jones. Elevated from the or signed from the practice squad from the Buffalo Bills. It's real interesting to look at the Buffalo Bills depth chart, too. They really don't have, like, no more than, like, 4 wide receivers on that depth chart right now. Nobody actually behind Gabriel Davis. And Isaiah Hodgins is a receiver who plays that big body type of build. And I think that, Brian Dable and them feel like they don't need too many of those wide receivers. Colin Johnson did go down early in the season, and you got Kenny Galladay out here as well. But Kenny Galladay has been pretty much a non-factor, and Kenny Galladay was only on the field for 1 snap this past game. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of these other guys that went elsewhere. There's not really many of them, and maybe my memory's just not serving me correct right now. But I think Daniel Jones is doing a decent job. It's just the deep shots, man. Like, when they're there, we want to see that. We want to see that. Rudy T says, shout out to Rudy T one time in the building, too. Rudy T says, Jones is a product of his system. His system has struggled for his entire career. With our new system, you can see the stride Jones made and the potential he has. Just need to be patient for another. I agree with some of this, Rudy T, but I understand the fans that are not patient no more. We've seen now 3 regimes in 4 seasons. 2 of them ran pretty much the same kind of offense, short passing attack, not taking the deep down the field shots, running a lot of read option, sprinkled in with some RPO, some design quarterback runs. I do like what Brian Dable has brought to this, and Mike Kafka have brought to this offense this year, which kind of seems like a bit of a fusion from Pat Shurmur's system to what Jason Garrett and Joe Judge were running. There's still a lot of those short concepts, some comeback routes happening there, but they added a lot of mesh, a lot of concepts that will allow Daniel Jones to look to one side of the field and read one side of the field and make the right decision. And if it's not there, put it down and try to run it. So I like what they've done there, but statistically still looking at pretty much the same guy. 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year. And, we've seen right around that 12 touchdown mark for the past 3 seasons. And then the rookie season you had around, I believe it was 24. 13 of those touchdowns came in 3 games. 5 against Washington that year, 4 against the Jets, and another 4 against the Detroit Lions that year. So outside of that, Daniel Jones has been a 1-touchdown guy pretty much his whole entire career. And I don't just use that stat to knock on guys like Daniel Jones and try to, sprinkle some objectivity on their play. I do it with Tua as well. Right now, Tua entering last week, he had 21 total touchdowns. Everybody was talking about this guy being an MVP candidate. And to me, those numbers don't scream MVP, because he had 6 touchdowns in a game in early on in the year against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, where 4 of them came in the 4th quarter. So to me, that says you had 1 lights out game. This was with 10 games on his game log. You had 1 real lights out game where you had 6 touchdowns, right? That's 15 touchdowns in the 9 other games. It's virtually about a touchdown and some change every other game. So that doesn't wow me. And I still think he's in the same ballpark as a guy like Daniel Jones. Dare I say, I think Daniel Jones would look better in that Miami system than Tua does. So that goes to show you how funky I keep it when I'm talking about Daniel Jones, because to me, Tua is still an average quarterback. And he has great pocket awareness, better than Daniel Jones, but there are things that Daniel Jones does better, like run the ball. So I think Daniel Jones with what's that, Mike McDaniels in Miami, that would look pretty crazy. That would look really crazy. But shout out to you, Rudy T. I definitely appreciate you pulling up, rocking out with us, man, and joining the discussion with the fam here in the chat. That's major right there. Shout out to Keith Wilson Jr. one time with the $4.99 super chat, man. He says, salute. Put Tay Crowder in. Jalen is sanitation. Let's go D and O-line. What you think about possible free agents from teams falling apart, like maybe Denver? I think Denver is going to be extremely committed to trying to make it work around Russell Wilson for like at least another year or 2, because they just spent so much money and draft capital on him. You can't just give up on that after a year. I'd have to see the free agency market. There's wide receiver wise, there was nothing out there that made me go, ooh, that might be a great candidate. We need to see Daniel Jones with the number 1. That's what we need. I would love to see Daniel Jones with a number 1 wide receiver and a maybe a 1B wide receiver as well. We're not going to have Wan'Dale Robinson for like at least the first 6-7 games of next year. I love what Darius Slayton brings to this offense. Isaiah Hodgins could step up and be that guy if you had a number 1, because Hodgins seems to beat one-on-one coverage a lot. He's a crispy route runner. You saw it on that little whip route that he ran for the touchdown a couple of weeks ago. He had 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games entering this game against the Commanders. I'm a big fan of Isaiah Hodgins. He could be that, but I want some depth because every year it seems like, dating all the way back to when the Giants had John Ross on the roster, I almost thought they were overcompensating for weapons that year. They drafted a wide receiver. They had Kenny Galladay on the roster. They went out there, they got Kyle Rudolph on the roster to pair with Evan Ingram. You just had so many people, and then they started dropping like flies, and you realize, man, we don't have that much depth at the wide receiver position. So I would love to see them address depth, which Isaiah Hodgins and Slayton could definitely be those kind of guys. And, bring in that true number one. I don't know what kind of value we have to trade outside of draft picks. So it's either go out there and try to, build on the future or go out there and spend some draft capital to get you a number one wide receiver. I think that's just what it is. That's all you can do right there. But shout out to you, Keith. Stay with us, man, because the offseason is going to be a great time for us, and being able to assess, what options we really have out there on the free agent market, man. But salute to you for supporting the channel. That $4.99 definitely goes a long way. I definitely appreciate that, brother. Let me see. I'm just catching up, and then we'll take it to the next overreaction. A lot of people with a lot to say today, man. I definitely appreciate y'all bringing y'all thoughts. Y'all know I'm here for it one time. Lax044 says, this is Jones' first year in this system. If the Giants can get him back on a 1 to 2 year team-friendly deal, I would do it. Draft some receivers and maybe a quarterback like AR-15, have him sit for a year and learn. Yeah, and then think about it. If you see Daniel Jones, when you get Daniel Jones these weapons, he starts to excel. Now you're just looking at 2 quarterbacks that you have for draft capital going into the next 3 years probably. I think it's a good plan, and it's a way to continue to keep the winning formula going, but it starts with that contract for Daniel Jones. What number people have on that mark for Daniel Jones, that's on you. But for me, if I see them breach 20, I'm gonna be looking at them a little bit sideways. But we'll see. We'll see what this front office does, man. These are big decisions that people get paid big money to do, and I'm not getting paid that money. So I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm a GM. But for me, what Lax is saying here, this makes sense. I like it. I definitely like it. And yeah, you see, I see Stephen Arts here. He's saying OG Knockout's just certified DJ hater. Credibility is whack. Please send Galladay to KC so they can have 2 wide receivers that are trash. One is hurt all the time, and the other has been labeled no effort. I don't question NFL players' efforts, never. Kenny Galladay got hurt trying to make a block where it was clear he was, putting effort out there and got his leg trampled up on a long run. I don't question effort. Whether he's injured, that could be a thing. We know that with him, with Kadarius Toney, the injuries have been a thing. But this is the thing, man. I'll take you to a line. I don't know, Stephen Arts, if you're old enough to know about Common. Common had a line that said, if I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. And I think people throw this hater word around too much. If somebody don't like a quarterback, they don't like a quarterback. Daniel Jones has not done nothing that could knock OG Knockout off his stance right now and say, my bike, right? He's not doing nothing over extra and beyond that should make you go, yo, you're a fool to think that this ain't the guy. If anything, the people who are homers on the opposite side look more like fools, bro. Because Daniel Jones, we got to assess it for what it is. He's been average. So I just think when somebody has a strict stance on a quarterback that really ain't showing you, put together the highlights, man, of Daniel Jones from the whole 4 years. It don't look like a quarterback that you would definitely be like, I'm putting all my money on him, all my eggs in that basket. So I think it's more rational to understand fans that are like, yo, I'm done with him. It's more rational than to understand the fans that are like, what, you guys don't see he's a franchise quarterback? That's why I stay in the middle on this. And I'm not riding the fence on the quarterback, but I'm going to assess it and tell it to you exactly how it is. Daniel Jones is an average quarterback. That's what it is. So when you see somebody who don't like it, to me, that don't mean that they hating. When they see evidence that shows and proves that he's a franchise guy, eventually it's going to get to a point where you got to be like, yo, I got to give in. He's a guy. He's not showing that yet. This coaching staff has not been able to even allow him to show that yet for real. And this offensive line is struggling. They can't stay healthy. And it looks like more of the same with Daniel Jones, I wouldn't call OG a knockout, or I wouldn't call him a hater. I wouldn't call OG a knockout. I wouldn't call him a hater for saying something like this. 3 coaches, 4 offensive coaches, and they all suffered under Daniel Jones. He's assessing it by his eye. I don't think it's hater rhetoric, And I think people You just got to put the feelings to the side. If you like them, you like them. Present the facts why you would try to knock him off and try to get OG Knockout to lean more to your side if you really want to change his opinion on it. At the end of the day, I don't care about what somebody else's opinion is that they're going to stay on. If I can't present an argument that knocks them off their opinion, then I'm not doing a good enough job, and neither is the quarterback I'm trying to vouch for. So to me, it's like, just keep it real about it. Just be real about it. Like, for somebody to not like Daniel Jones, it's all good. That's all good. I'm sure OG Knockout on Sundays wants to win just like we want to win, you know? And I think we can't be, like, placing these negative adjectives on people's fandom. Like, just let them root for the team the way they want to root for the team and do what they want to do. If they don't like the quarterback, that don't mean that they hating. Like, there are artists that I'm not a fan of that I don't like that artist, but I won't sit here and say they're trash either at the same time, right? But I'm also not listening to that shit. It don't mean that I'm hating on them. I just don't like them. That's all it is. And OG don't like Daniel Jones. That's completely cool, man. There's a lot of fans out there that don't like Daniel Jones because his play has not warranted them to egregiously be on one side of being like, he's fantastic. Like, they're being realistic about it. They're being realistic about it. Shout out to Scotty. I got to bring this up one time, too. Scotty says, as tough as y'all are on Daniel Jones, Eli had it harder his first 4 seasons. Patience paid dividends. Big dividends, for sure. And Eli won the Super Bowls. That was the thing. I'm all about this. Like, you can look at history and look at the trail, right? But we also can't look at that for every reasoning why. Like, well, look at Daniel Jones. You know, his first 4 years, he's like Eli Manning, even kill kind of guy, quiet, you know, checking all the boxes. Sometimes you got to look at it like this, too. What are the odds that happens twice? Like, what are the odds that happens twice? A lot of people like to compare Evan Neal's struggles to Andrew Thomas' struggles, right? What are the odds that it happens the exact same way twice? Probably not that likely, you know? But Evan Neal's his own guy. Daniel Jones is his own guy. There are things about Daniel Jones' game that in the first 4 years looks better than Eli. We all know it. It's running the ball for sure. But Eli had the pocket presence, the gunslinger mentality, the it to go win games, the no fear mentality. They're different guys. They're different players. You know, I try to put them in different bubbles as much as I can. You know, it was like, I always talk about this one too, Scotty. When Saquon Barkley tore his knee, they was like, he's going to bounce back like Adrian Peterson did. You know, they different. It's going to take one guy a different amount of time than it's going to take another guy. I'm not ruling out the possibility that, you know, you can't have back-to-back circumstances happen the same way, but at the same time, I can't bank on it. It's why I try to stay very objective on all this stuff about Daniel Jones, man. Just try to assess it week to week as best as I can. But there's nothing from Daniel Jones so far that says he's elite. Nothing. There's nothing there. So to stay right in the middle and be like he's an average quarterback, the kid can make plays. He's a starter in this league for sure. That's what it is right now. Show me more. Show me more. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Scotty one time in the building, rocking with us on this Tuesday afternoon, man. I hope all is well with you. Let me see. I just want to scroll down a little bit because once we're going to move to this next overreaction one time. And let's get this one more super chat from Irish Rover out the way. We appreciate that. Fan at $5 super chat one time. Irish Rover says, let's take DJ out of the conversation. What are your top 4 positions we need to fill this offseason? Love your content. Thank you, Irish Rover. I definitely appreciate that, man. And appreciate you rocking with us on this Tuesday afternoon, Victory Tuesday for the New York Giants. 4 positions for me. 1,000% you got to go interior offensive line. So center and guard, both of those. Wide receiver, linebacker. Those would be the top 4 for me. Outside of that, I would love some depth in the secondary at the cornerback position. A ton of depth at the wide receiver position. And then I think, you know, you could address the quarterback position if you want to go there. But he said outside the quarterback position, so that's where I go. Interior offensive line, number 1, because if Daniel's the quarterback, interior offensive line is what's going to help him elevate his game the most right now. These wide receivers that people are calling Walmart, Best Buy, blah, 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 they out there getting it done. And they look good in person. I'll keep it real with you. They look good in person. Crispy routes, finding a way to get minimal separation, but we know in the NFL getting separation is tough. We just need a guy who can stretch the field along with Darius Slayton, and hopefully he's a number 1. That would go a long way. Linebackers, somebody talked about Tay Crowder and Jalen Smith earlier. To me, both of them can't get right. They both struggling. Jalen Smith did have 9 tackles in this game, but it's just like his read and reaction is not that great. He'd make for a great depth piece. I think Tay Crowder will make for a great depth piece as well because they're filling in and they're doing a decent job. And then outside of that, cornerback, yeah, like you saw when a guy like Adoree Jackson gets hurt, there's major problems there. When a guy like Xavier McKinney goes to Cabo and hurts the hand, there's major problems there. So it would be nice to have some depth at the safety position, although I do like Dane Belton. Of all the rookies they drafted and brought into the secondary, Dane Belton, I think, is one of the guys that stands out a good bit. But some more depth in the secondary would be nice, especially for the system that Wink Martindale likes to run with a lot of man-on-man and, a lot of blitzing. So it'd be nice to have some linebackers that are a little bit better at coverage and some people in the secondary that are better at coverage as well, because we're going to need that. But shout out to you, Irish Rover. I definitely appreciate you rocking with us. Don't forget to pull up tonight, man, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live in about 4 hours here. We'll be live doing a deep dive with the Beard. You can see his perspective. That's the best co-host in the country on the best television show, not on TV. That's Awthentik and the Beard, the best division in football. Y'all know what it is. Big salute to Irish Rover one time, man. Appreciate you rocking with us along with everybody in the Giants Nation in the building on this Tuesday afternoon. Let me see what else we got here. I just want to, make sure I'm getting the temperature of the chat one time. How about them boys is in the building? Big loss for y'all this week, boy. Hopefully y'all can bounce back. I picked y'all to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, and y'all kind of folded there in the second half and in overtime. Y'all got to get right here. Y'all Cowboys definitely want to get right here before the playoffs. I was vouching for y'all the week before. I can't vouch for y'all this week. Y'all struggling right now. But how about them boys says if OG is rooting for Jones to fail, then he's a fake fan hater. If that's just his opinion, that's it. That's not hating. I mean, if a guy's failed in your eyes for 4 years and you just want him out of here, you just want him out of here. There's no such thing as a fake fan, bro. Like, I'm sorry. It's just no such thing. If you were, I don't get it. Like, if you're a fan of, the Commanders or something and you're low-key out here sneaking into these conversations acting like you're a Giants fan, to me, that'd be a fake fan. If you're really a fan of one team and you make content for another team and you act like you're all for that team, but you really got another team that's your 1A team, then maybe that's a fake fan. But I think OG's just a Giants fan that wants the best for his team and he thinks the quarterback's holding him back. That's an opinion. There's no hater to that. It's not hater. If you think the guy – here's the thing. He could maybe want Daniel Jones to fail so that he doesn't have to deal with that tougher decision because he feels in his eyes that's not the guy. I'm good with that. I'm all good with that. Y'all giving OG Knockout a hard time, man. Just let him. If you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. But I don't think we can put stipulations on what a fan is. Shit, if you want to root for 5 teams, man, and, a fifth of that goes to the New York Giants, screw everything I just said, man. You a fan. I don't care. If you show up to that game in blue, you a fan. Whatever. It's what everybody's going to have different opinions at the end of the day. I'm not here to make you pivot off it. I'm just here to give you facts that represent my opinion. And if that makes you pivot or helps you change your decision or whatever, then so be it. That it is what it is at that point. Let me see what Zeke talking here one time. Zeke said, what can DJ do that we can't get from other QBs? We can get the production that DJ gives us from plenty of other quarterbacks. He's just not it. This is a good point here because there are things that Daniel Jones does well within this system. I'll tell you this. So looking at a guy like Tyrod Taylor on the bench, who I was on record saying maybe he's the better option entering the year. I think Tyrod Taylor does just about everything about as good as Daniel Jones does, but Tyrod Taylor is also looked at as one of the best backups in the entire league. It seems like Daniel Jones has a better grip on not fumbling the football and turning the ball over than a guy like Tyrod. And Tyrod's one of the better backups in the league. You could look at a guy like Taylor Heineke even, as a comparable. Daniel Jones does everything Taylor Heineke does but better. So for me, it's who's that quarterback you think that comes in here and does everything that DJ does, Zeke? I'll keep my eye on the chat and see who you think. Somebody brought up Cooper Rush from the Cowboys with legs. And it's a good comparison, but when you add that with legs, there are things that Daniel Jones can do in this offense that Cooper Rush could never do. Andy Dalton could never do. Sam Darnold could never do. I'm just thinking of these bottom-of-the-barrel guys. Davis Mills could never do. Kyle Allen could never do. Jameis Winston could never do. And Jameis Winston would be a good comp, to be honest. I think Jameis Winston can do some things from the quarterback position, but we're not going to have Jameis out here running read option. And that's the thing I think that separates Daniel Jones, and that's probably going to make this decision a lot more difficult for the Giants front office because you can run all that RPO stuff. So if you're going to replace him, don't give me no pocket passer kid that's not going to be able to do the things that Daniel Jones does. Daniel can pocket pass pretty decent, doesn't scan the field well. I think when you first said it, you said, what can DJ do that we can't get from other QBs? That's the one thing I think is really just the legs. From a guy who's really known as a pocket passer, his pocket presence has gotten better. Still not great. I still think he's bottom of the half of the league as far as pocket presence is. But there are things that Jones does that other quarterbacks don't do. I can't sit up here and lie to you. When you see Daniel Jones, running that 80-yard run, falling on his face, there's not many quarterbacks that can do that if they're not mobile. There's Lamar Jackson. There's Jalen Hurts. There's Josh Allen. I do think Joe Burrow presents a threat to run the ball that's about as equivalent as what Daniel Jones can do. But as far as like backups and serviceable guys, Mitchell Trubisky can't do that. I'm trying to think of other guys who are at the bottom of the league. Marcus Mariota could come in here and do similar things that Daniel Jones can do. He's the one other starter I think that could come in here and you wouldn't get much of a hiccup from the offense. But Daniel Jones probably takes care of the ball a little bit better than Marcus Mariota does. But I like Marcus Mariota. He does some things. Sitting on the bench now, Ritter got the start last week, and I saw the first half of that game. It didn't look that great for Ritter. He looked okay, but I think maybe Marcus Mariota is probably the best comp, and Tyrod Taylor, who's on the roster. So it's tough. It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough. Yeah, Mr. Prov says Daniel Jones is boring football. It's definitely not exciting. It's not. It's really not exciting. I will agree with you there. I look, when we do these cut sequences and stuff, I be looking for plays and highlights, and I'm like, Jones just don't got him. Last year on his highlights, one of the best highlights he had was a reception where he caught the ball one-handed. I'm like, I get it. I want to see that flashy stuff too, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is seeing W's. And right now, he's looking all right in this system. We could look at the schedule. We could look at, we got off to a good early start, won some unexpected games. We overachieved. We did all that. But the kid's winning games. So I got to give him his props, but also assess him with a keen eye and tell y'all he's average. He's definitely average. The one thing that separates him is the running ability. Shout out to Nick the Wick one time in the building, man. I appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate that $1.99 super chat. And congratulations, Nick the Wick. I think you were named like one of the all-county players around your neighborhood. Salute to you, man. Keep getting them pancakes out there, man, with syrup. Do your thing, man. We want to see you win over here at Awthentik in the Beer, man. And he says, did somebody say playoffs? That's what they talking. That's what they talking. They talking playoffs. Looks like if the Giants get one more win, we can solidify our fate and handle our own business and get into the playoffs. It's a 99% chance if we beat the Vikings on Saturday, Christmas Eve. That's going to be a great way to spend the holidays with the family and be able to watch some football with my favorite team, man. Shout out to Nick the Wick one time, man, doing his thing on the football field, man. I wish you nothing but the best, man. Keep grinding, keep working hard. Your window is now, my brother. Seize the opportunity. Work as hard as you can right now. Don't look back on it and be like, I could have put in a little bit more effort. I could have hit the weight room one more time. I could have been out there practicing those drills one more time. These are your shaping years, my guy. Go out there and work harder than everybody else, even though you got more talent than everybody else. Go out there and work harder than those people with less talent than you, so it's not even a question when it comes time for you to really succeed, man. I wish you nothing but the best, my guy. Big salute to you. Big salute to you. All right, let's see if we can get to this. I should set up a poll. Let's do that. Let me let y'all rock with an instrumental one time, and let's set up a poll. Let's set up a poll. I think that's a really good idea. I think that's a really good idea. Let me see if I can get this set up real quick. We're going to rock out to some instrumentals one time. And let's set up a poll here and see how everyone in the chat is feeling about this. Let's see. We got a switch right here. Let's add this one. Gmail be like, they don't be wanting to save my account up here. I'm always got them up here so I can switch accounts back and forth, and it feels like every time I pull up, they want me to relog back in. But we do this, man. We definitely on the computer daily, so we'll get to this and get this poll set up for y'all because I'm extremely curious how y'all feeling about this one. Well, let's not save that password right there. I already know y'all on some shiesty sharing my information stuff. All right, we right here. And let's mute this. And let's set up this poll for y'all one time. All right, let's see how y'all feeling about this. Bring back Daniel Jones on a team-friendly deal. Let's ask the community about this and see how they feeling one time. I'm gonna pop out this chat real quick just so I can have it on the side one time for y'all. Ooh, the votes is already coming in too. I like that. Yeah, I'll keep that open right there, and we'll come back and we'll check on that here in a little bit. Appreciate y'all rocking with us. Appreciate y'all patience one time, too, in the building while we got that set up. Just scrolling down, getting all caught back up to the chat one time. Let me see. Mr. Finesse says, I'm not sure what quarterback puts big numbers with this roster. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, it is interesting because he was dealing with 2 rookie wide receivers over there this year, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs was just emerging and then kind of got injured there in the middle of the season. And then you saw Christian Watson start to really, really make a splash with the deep plays down the field. Let's check out where Aaron Rodgers is sitting right now, because I know his touchdown to interception ratio was pretty decent, man, when I last looked a couple of weeks ago. He's got 23 touchdowns on the season, 10 interceptions, 3,093 yards, a passer rating of 92.3, a completion percentage of 64.9. So by his standards, that might not be that high, but he's still playing at a high level. So if Aaron Rodgers is indeed going to be out there on the free agent market, I don't think he'd be the right move for the New York Giants, simply because we have a young, youthful roster here. And I'd look to build on that with a young quarterback in the draft. But I do think Aaron Rodgers, maybe for the Jets, man, that might be a vibe. Go over there and win some games with the Jets, jump over to the AFC, and maybe try to make one last run and try to get in the playoffs and try to make another run to the Super Bowl. But Aaron Rodgers, he's still playing some high-level football, some real high-level football. Yeah, and Steven Arce, I see you in the building. He says Mahomes really screwed up people realistic expectations for quarterbacks. You get mesmerized by a shooting star when they are rare. Clearly, Super Bowls can be won with any quarterback any year. I agree with what you're saying in the first portion of the statements, but that clearly Super Bowls can be won with any quarterback. Go back, look at the last 19 Super Bowl winners. They're all on their way to the Hall of Fame right now outside of Nick Foles and Joe Flacco. Those are, if you look at everything past 2000, those are the only quarterbacks that have been like a, outlier, if you want to call them, that their careers don't look like they're that good. Every other quarterback has been a baller. So I do think, it's important to find that guy. And it's important for teams to be able to assess it. And that's the job of the front office and the coaching staff. Assess if you got the guy that you can go out there and think you can win a playoff game with, or a few playoff games with, and be able to get to a championship with, because the ultimate goal is winning the Super Bowl. That's what you got to do. We saw the Los Angeles Rams do it last year with Matt Stafford, and they brought over, they traded out Jared Goff for some draft picks, brought in Stafford. A lot of people looked at them like they're a team that just tries to nail free agent signings. But the Los Angeles Rams entering 2021 were one of the only teams in the NFL. They were one of 7 teams that had a roster that was homegrown over 60%. So yeah, they're trading away their first-round draft capital, but they're also finding ways to draft well in the late rounds, and that's what the New York Giants got to figure out a way to do, whether it be at the quarterback position or any other position. You got to find a way to draft well from rounds 2 through 7 especially. These late-day picks, you got to find a way to bring in guys that are going to make an impact for your team. So I definitely agree with the first part of this statement, Steven Arce, but the second half, bro, most likely you're going to need a guy. You're going to need a guy, most likely. Can Daniel Jones, is the verdict out that he's not the guy? I wouldn't say that just yet. 4 years so far has shown that he's really not the guy yet, but who knows what happens if you put some pieces around him. I think the Minnesota Vikings are dealing with that right now with a good quarterback, with Kirk Cousins. They got the pieces around him, but they're struggling, and you're looking at it like it's time to make the run now. The Dallas Cowboys, the same exact thing. It's time to make that run right now. And if you can't, if you keep falling flat, then the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings are going to look for a way to make a move on a quarterback, whether it be in the first round or in the later rounds. They're going to find a way. So I think that, that's my perspective on it. I don't know how y'all feel about it. That's how I'm feeling about it. But let's get off into these two other overreactions. I told y'all 2 hours. I know it's Victory Tuesday. We pushing it a little bit. We went for 2.5 hours already. We're going to fly through these next two overreactions. I'm going to guarantee y'all we get out of here so that we can get ready for the 7 p.m. show tonight. Make sure y'all pull up whole NFC East recap. It's going to be a vibe tonight. So let's get off into these last two giant overreactions one time. Now we're talking about this one, a little bit in the chat, a little bit already. We got the poll up. But let me know what y'all think about this one, and we'll fly through this one pretty fast. I feel like we talked enough about Daniel Jones. We have a lot of opinions on Daniel Jones. Some people split, some people one way or the other. I think we got a good gauge on this topic. But I saw this one yesterday from @DanielJonesMVP, and the tweet said, with his performance against the Commanders, Daniel Jones showed why he should be the franchise quarterback. Y'all roll them in real quick. We going to go over this one. Y'all let me know what you think. If you want to take the push, put the P in the chat. If you think this is an overreaction on the screen, let me see some O's in the chat. And if you want to agree with the statement on the screen, take the under. Let me see some U's in the chat. We'll go over just a couple on this one. We'll try to keep this real short and tight. I think we talked about Daniel Jones a good bit here. Didn't want to make, just Daniel Jones the focus of today's show. But nonetheless, I think it's something that we should talk about every week. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to talk about it every week. The quarterback is the most important position on the field. So, that's why I stress the fact about talking about Daniel Jones the most on this channel and trying to be as objective as possible. Let me let y'all opinions pile in one time, and then we'll go over a couple and we'll move on to the last one. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all being in the building. All right, let me see what we got one time. How about them boys says, Jones might not be the guy, but getting rid of him and drafting Richardson would set the Giants back another 3 years. That's quite possible. I don't know about all the way 3 years, but that's definitely quite possible. I think whatever you do, if you go and draft a quarterback, you got to make sure he's ready within at least 2 years. You don't want to end up in that Green Bay Packers situation with Jordan Love. He's in his last year of his contract right now, and they really don't know what they're going to do with him. There hasn't been a lot on tape yet, so he doesn't got a lot of tape to show these other teams in games and regular season games against real competition. I've seen him struggle in at least 2 games, and he had one decent game where Christian Watson took that slant route to the house. That definitely helped him out, but you got to get this figured out. It's something that's going to be a major decision for the New York Giants. I definitely feel you on this one. How about them boys? And it's good to have a objective opinion from a Cowboys fan, bro. Definitely appreciate that. So how about them boys is taking the push? I like that. Bookend tackles taking the push. Mike Gomez in the building says it's an overreaction. And, it's weird. I want to take the push, but I also want to say it's an overreaction because if you looked at last night's game and that was the determining factor that made you go, oh, he's the franchise QB, I think that is an overreaction. Whether he is going to be the franchise quarterback moving forward, I might take the push. We got 3 games left on the season. If I had to really put myself on the spot, I would say it's an overreaction both ways, all the way across the board. But I do see the reasoning for people taking the push. Shout out to Mike Gomez one time, though. Carl Wilkinson taking that push one time. D. Biddle says it's an overreaction, but it depends on how you define franchise quarterback. That's super important. Everyone has their different opinion on what a franchise quarterback is. Some look at it like you got to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and that's about it. For me, there are levels to it, So I definitely agree with this opinion you got here, D. Biddle. That's a smart way to look at it. Nova Nebula said, Irish Rover says it's an overreaction. Average at this point, not franchise yet. Love that take. Love that take. Zeke Anderson says, hell no, it's an overreaction. I respect that take right there. Burrow Bread says, I say keep him. We need some more options for him. That's not a bad take right there at all, man. I brought up some good reasons why I thought similar. If you're going to bring him back, just make sure it's a team-friendly deal. Just make sure you're not out here giving this guy a crazy bag. And I think you should draft guys on the board and you see him there, go get the quarterback. If you don't got the quarterback on the board, keep building the team. Don't force a quarterback pick. There's no reason to do that. So shout out to Boro Breads. I don't know if you're a new face in the building, man, but big salute to you for rocking with us today and rocking with the whole Giants fan on Awthentik and the Beard. That's major, brother. Appreciate you being here. Bub says it's no reaction. Gomez says it's an overreaction. Nebula taking the push. I like that. I like the and then it go right to the push. Smart take right there. Let me see. John Henriquez in the building one time. taking the overreaction. Salute to John being in the building. We appreciate you pulling up, fam. Lesnar's taking the you, agreeing with the statement on the screen, thinking that Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback. Jameson in the building. I hope you're feeling better. Jameson taking a push. Lumateo taking a push. Crypto Moves taking a push. Alvaro Ryan taking a push. Let me see what my man Stan talking about one time. Stan says, I still say no with Tyrod on the books, but I'm willing to compromise on bringing him back and still drafting AR. But let me shut up so I'm not labeled a fake fan or a hater. This is an objective take right here. This is why I get down with Stan. Me and Stan always chopping it up, talking in the DMs, just about the quarterback position and the state of the New York Giants. And he's objective. Yeah, he's a fan that thinks we should move on. But look at that. That's a very objective take. And people like to label this man a hater too. I don't think he's a hater, but I do think if Daniel Jones is on this 9-yard line right here behind me on this side of the end zone, Stan is all the way on the other side, maybe in the nosebleeds on the other side. Definitely wanted to move on from Daniel Jones, but look, very objective take right here, and I think a lot of us are leaning more towards this. Let me see. Scotty Boom says, get that man a legit two-way tight end and watch Jones thrive, which is what I think Daniel Bellinger could be. The injury really set him back, but early on in the year, the first 4 games, you saw they were making it a point of emphasis to really rely on Daniel Bellinger. Short passing game, short passing attack. It was really working for Daniel Jones, opening up some of the runs, the bootlegs. We saw all that, and then he got the eye injury, had to get surgery on the eye socket, and things kind of changed there. It's really good to see a rookie tight end come in here and, be able to make waves with this team early on. I will say this, though. The two-way tight end worries me because I think it's more important that the tight end can block these days. You even seeing it with a guy like Kyle Pitts. He's a fantastic talent, right? But first-round draft capital for a guy like that who, first year was awesome. Second year kind of fell back down to earth. Injuries definitely getting in the way. I love what Kyle Pitts brings to the table. He's a great talent. But it's not something that I would want to spend first or second-round draft capital on. I think you got to go out there and get that wide receiver right off the bat. You need to get him a guy that can beat one-on-one coverage all the time, a security blanket that when in doubt, he can go to that wide receiver and throw the ball. Stephon Diggs, I would say, a guy like that. Even a CeeDee Lamb would help this team out tremendously. But shout out to Scotty Booms, man. I appreciate you being here, brother. Again, we got to catch up. Let me see who else is in. Salute to you, Burrowbreads. You already know what it is, fam. Christopher's in the building one time. Shout out to Christopher. I think that's a new face in the building, man. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're digging the vibes we putting down over here at Awthentik in the Beard. And make sure y'all pull up tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In just over 3.5 hours, we'll be live here again talking the Giants game in depth and also going over the rest of the NFC East as well. It's always a great time with my co-host, The Beard, the best co-host in the country. Christopher says, the Maras are playing games on purpose and waiting for Archie Manning to get drafted after his Texas college run is over. So, keep bum blank DJ for now. Yeah, I mean, to bank on Archie Manning, you never know what can happen. We've seen these quarterback classes that look great when you look at them in the future, and then things fall right back down to earth, and you're in a position where you're like, that guy's not really a guy. So, for me, I don't think you could look that far into the future. Archie Manning might be a beast, but from what I seen from him, man, the tape that I saw from him when he was like at a prep high school or something like that, he was like a lot bigger than a lot of those kids, and it just didn't jump off the screen to me. The arm talent did, obviously. He's a Manning, but we'll see. Right now, I'm a big fan of AR-15. I think Anthony Richardson will be the guy. Honestly, there's not another quarterback out there that I would be like pressing to go get. I like C.J. Stroud. I like Bryce Young. Caleb coming out probably the following year. I like Cam Ward, too. I've seen a lot of his tape. I haven't seen a ton of college quarterbacks this year, but I've tried to keep my eye on as many as I could. And I like Cameron Ward, who hasn't declared for the draft yet. He might come back. I think he's a junior. There's another quarterback that I liked coming out of Washington as well. I saw them when they played up against each other when Washington played Washington State, and Cam Ward was balling, and that other quarterback had a nice little arm too, but I hear he's going back to school as well. We'll see. The only quarterback I want to reach for is AR-15. That outside of him, I don't mind the Giants not drafting a quarterback this year. I'm all good with it. I'm definitely all good with it. But shout out to Christopher, man. Welcome to the fam, bro. If this is your first time here, you know what it is, man. We welcome you, and salute to you for rocking out with everybody in the family in the chat one time. Mohamed Diallo was in the building one time. Says, keep DJ and keep building around him. He can have a huge jump in this offense year 2 and maybe talent at wide receiver and O-line. I believe in him with this coaching staff. This is a very reasonable take. I'm not mad at you at all. Like, for people that are like, not out on DJ, I get it. He's been playing some pretty average football. He's shown you he can do some things. He's shown you what he can do with his legs as a runner. And if you did get the weapons around him, there's no telling what could happen. He could win some more games for sure. Build up this team is not a bad idea. But like I said, if you see AR-15 out there, you build up this team while you draft AR-15. He's a prospect that I don't want to let go. I think he's got ability to be the next Josh Allen, possibly a better quarterback than even that, because I think with the running skill set that he has, he's even more dynamic than a Josh Allen. Josh Allen definitely brings the power to the running game at the quarterback position, though, for sure. Stephen R. says AR-15 will definitely have us in the top 5 to draft Archie. I mean, I don't know. You could to judge a guy when he hasn't played an NFL snap is crazy. I don't know what's going on with Archie. I don't know what's going on with AR-15, but AR-15, he lights it up when you look at the tape and when you look at him in key situations when a game is on the line. That kid lights it up. That's all I can say. I've seen him throw the ball 60 air yards, no problem. Kid's got velocity on the throw. He can make all the throws. Accuracy would have to be a thing to hone in on. Mechanics would have to be a thing to hone in on. And I guarantee you the people that are hating on AR-15 are the same people that were hating on Jalen Hurts. I guarantee you that. These college kids, I'm not about to be judging them crazy before they get in the league. There's no way. And college stats don't hold weight like NFL stats. We already know that. All right, so we're all caught up on the chat here. Let me see what D. Biddle said. D. Biddle said, I watched a few AR games, and he's going to need a lot of work mechanically and decision-making wise. Yeah, that's the thing for a lot of college quarterbacks. The completion percentage was a little sketchy in a few games there for AR-15 for sure. I remember one game, man, he didn't complete a pass in the whole fourth quarter. It was looking crazy. But, a lot of these quarterbacks, they're prospects. They're definitely going to be a working product that you have to put time and invest effort into them to make them who they are. I'm one of the guys that's still not out on Malik Willis. I think you can build around that kid. He's got all that you need at the quarterback position as far as the physical gifts. Now instincts are there. It's all about polishing those mechanics, getting that footwork right. I challenge anyone who talks footwork and mechanics, right, to look at 3 videos from the quarterback school. JT O'Sullivan is a channel called the QB School on YouTube. He has 3 videos that he did on Jalen Hurts. One of them when Jalen Hurts was just coming into the league and just became the starter, and 2 of them this year. He shows you the difference in the mechanics from year to year. People that are saying that, Jalen Hurts he hasn't improved. He's the same guy. Now they put weapons around him. You will be extremely mistaken if you go look at these 3 videos. I challenge all of y'all. I'll come into the comment section after this video and drop the links to all those videos. Also, Thinking Football put out 2 great videos about Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts and about how they also improved on their mechanics while, developing in the league as well. So for me, I look at the physical skills. First, you can develop things as far as, getting the footwork right, getting the mechanics up top, the upper body footwork or the upper body mechanics right as well. And then if you have a guy who can make all the plays like a guy like AR-15 can, and you combine that with those, you're literally looking at one of those guys they call a unicorn, literally. So I know a lot of people weren't high on Patrick Mahomes coming out of school either, and they probably looked at him like a gunslinger that probably couldn't get done either. When I saw Patrick Mahomes sit down with John Gruden for the they were like in the quarterback room where they test your skills as far as like, what would you do here with John Gruden before he became a coach? Patrick Mahomes instantly was the guy who I thought was going to be the better quarterback of that draft. And that was back when I literally watched like no college football at all. But seeing him, the way that his mind was and the plays that they showed him making, I combined that to come up with an eye test assessment that Patrick Mahomes was going to be the best quarterback in that draft. I'm not saying I knew he was going to be the best quarterback maybe ever to play this game, possibly at the rate he's on right now. This dude is making incredible plays, has not slowed down from college to the NFL. He makes plays that no other quarterback can make. And that Patrick Mahomes is he is him. He is him. But Anthony Richardson, I think, has a great skill set to be a force to be reckoned with in this league for sure. And he already looks like a man. He does not look like a boy like some of these quarterbacks coming out. The dude looks like a man. He's a big kid, big guy, big arm. That's what I look for in a prospect as far as the quarterback position goes. Let me see what else. I'm just making sure we caught up with all of y'all. Yeah, and I'm definitely not going to throw shade at a kid coming out of college. No way. No way. I'll be a little bit more critical when it comes to NFL quarterbacks because, bro, this is it. This is the best of the best. Y'all know what it is. Let me see. All right, we all caught up. So let's get to this next overreaction one time, man. This will be the last one before we get up out of here. We'll get 15 minutes max on this, and then make sure y'all pull up tonight for the recap of the NFC East Week 15. and we'll be doing a deep dive into all of those games. It's going to be all football for me today, man. I'm going to get off air. I'm going to do a little bit more, polishing up some notes, bring some more nuggets to the table, add to what I got for those other 2 games, and then, yeah, we'll assess that tonight. But let's get to this last overreaction before I get y'all up out of here one time. Here's about Saquon Barkley. With all the Daniel Jones contract debates over the week, if any player made his case on Sunday for an extension with the Giants, it was Saquon Barkley. This one comes from @TheDougRush, who puts out some really good content. I definitely recommend you guys follow this guy if you were on Twitter. Definitely love his takes, and he's not afraid to talk about those topics that a lot of people try to shy away from because they in it for likes, they not in it for life. And Doug Rush, I think he's a guy who's very objective. I usually like his takes. But let me know what y'all think about this one. Is this an overreaction, or are you going to be taking the under, or are you going to be taking the push on this one? Let me know what y'all think at one time. I'm looking for a vibe too while I let y'all pop it. I'm looking for a chill vibe. Some kind of laid back, you know what I'm saying? All right, this will be the last giant overreaction that we go over today before we do our show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man, with the Beard, the best co-host in the country, best division in football, and it's looking like that this year. I'm proud to say that. Let me see how y'all feeling about this one time. This funny. Watching highlights instead of lowlights, everyone looks good in highlight tapes. Yeah, you on a mission, bro. I can't stop your mission. Be on your mission, though. You on your mission. Let me see what else we got here. Bub says we got the coaching staff to take on a project quarterback. We sure do. We already saw them develop one in Buffalo. We know what it is. Lesnar is taking the push on this one. I think that's smart. I think that's really, really, really smart. That's a smart move right there. Because we talking contract extension. We're not talking a franchise tag here, so I will throw that out there. That's very, very, very smart of you, Lesnar. I like that. Let me see. Chris Peace is taking the under on this one. He's agreeing with the statement. Zeke Anderson is taking the under as well with the Soldier Boy used one time in the building. How about them boys says it's an overreaction. Free agency is loaded with backs, including our guy, Tony Pollard. He's replaceable, in my opinion. Yo, y'all will be fools not to bring back Tony Pollard. That guy is a guy. He's a guy. Y'all got to bring back Tony Pollard. Let me see what else. Mike Gomez is taking the under as well. I definitely pay Saquon before paying Jones. I like this take, too. I definitely respect this because he says with all the Daniel Jones contract debates over the weekend, if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But he says if any player made his case on Sunday for an extension with the Giants, it was Saquon Barkley. I love the room for a little bit of a debate there, a little bit to go either way on that. That's very smart of them, I think, So shout out to Doug Rush one time for this good assessment. I kind of agree with him right here. Let me see what else we got. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. My day one in the building. What's popping, fam? Good to see you here. Says he's taking a push. What the numbers look like? And can the Giants find equal value for less money? Very important, very important. I think it's going to be a franchise tag for Saquon Barkley. Let me see what Tudo talking about. Tudo says, Awthentik, hi and get some rest. We'll need you in a bit, brother. They all can discuss their opinions later, boss. That's facts. Make sure y'all pull up at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. You can voice all your opinions about how much you hate Anthony Richardson all you want during that chat. We definitely going to be talking quarterback. We definitely going to be talking NFC East, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys game, their loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we talking about that Eagles barely sneaking out against the Chicago Bears there. I did pick the Chicago Bears to cover. So shout out to Tuto one time in the building, man. Big salute, fam. We appreciate you over here, man. Big salute to Italy. You know what it is. Sebastian in the building says he's taking the under on this one. Let me see. Dallas Mustang, okay, he's taking I don't know if that's an I, maybe. Okay, he says it's an overreaction. He corrected it one time. He's taking an overreaction on this one. Thinks that Saquon might not have got that bag last night. Shout out to Gerard one time in the building. He's taking a push. We'll decide after the season. I think that's the smartest move. Carl Wilkinson agrees with you on that one time. Crypto Moves is saying it's an overreaction. He's a running back, but in that sight and sounds video, he is yelling at the defense. 26 isn't just a running back, he's a leader. Tough choice, they'll probably tag him. I'm with you on that, bro. Definitely respect that opinion. Mike K says it's an overreaction. I love Saquon, but I also think the O-line went unnoticed. Some nice push, even if the holes weren't always there. And that's what you need out of an offensive line that's blocking for Saquon Barkley. He's a home run hitter. If you can get Saquon to that second level, things can get disgusting. And shout out to that little juke move he put out there in the flats on the homie. That was, yeah, he had the homie on ice skates for sure right there. Great move. Saquon, one of my favorite players, one of my favorite Giants ever. But, you know, a lot of people making some good points here. Offensive line playing good. Could you imagine Saquon Barkley with a better interior offensive line? It would get filthy. And me, I've been saying this now for a whole 3 seasons. Pair him with a power back. Get him in here under the notion that he's going to be paired with another running back. And had him just, fresh legs, killing it. Most teams are leaning towards a 2-back system these days. The Giants seem to want to use Saquon Barkley as a, bell cow running back, and I've always disagreed with that. He can do it, but I think he's better served with another back, preferably a power running back there, and have Saquon Barkley doing all the hybrid scat back third down stuff, and also present the the option to be able to bring the power game to you as well, because we've seen Saquon do that at times as well. So shout out to Mike K. I like that assessment right there. Willie Bean says it's an overreaction. The player that made the best case for extension Sunday was Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is a no-brainer. He's definitely getting extended. Ain't no doubt about it. He's having his best year in under Wink Martindale's system, man. He's a pivotal piece that we're going to need moving forward. He's a young kid. I think he's only like 25 years old. It's a no-brainer to bring back Dexter Lawrence. When will they do it? Because I think his option is next year. So there's a chance that deal gets done either in the offseason or during during next season. We'll see. A couple of us in the Giant spaces were making bets on that and whatnot, and I definitely bookmarked that and made a receipt on that. So we're definitely going to come back to that on this show for sure. Alvaro says he's taking the under Saquon as a star. I definitely agree with you on that. That's 1,000%. Let me see what else we got here. Steven Arce says Gator fans don't love AR-15 that much. I live in Florida. They say he's inconsistent, but potential is high. Potential isn't guaranteed. Goes for any quarterback in the whole entire draft. First we're going to look for potential. We never know if they're going to be guys or not. You got to put them in the system and see how it goes. And hopefully they have guys around them that, they're in the right circumstance, in the right situation where they can be built up. Because I wish these young dudes nothing but the best. Man of the Culture says as much as he wants to get paid, no. I'll extend him, but I also want to pair him with a bigger back for that Bradshaw Jacobs type vibe. Now, that's what I'm talking about right there. Man of the Culture dropping gems right now on Awthentik in the Beard, man. I'm right there with you, fam. I'm right there with you. Aidenism in the building. Shout out to Aidenism. That's the thing. NYG has other back, but don't run 2-back sets. Yeah. And I think they could use, Matt Breida as a guy. We saw 2-back sets just a couple of times, maybe like 3 weeks ago, and that was it. And they kind of been abandoning that. So we'll see what they do moving forward. The Buffalo system was never predicated on a power running back, so I'm not expecting it. It won't surprise me if they just either keep Saquon or let him walk. But in Kansas City, kind of the same deal. They use multiple backs over there now, but they kind of rely on a hybrid running back, guys that can, do it all, block, catch passes out of the backfield, and run the ball. We'll see. I like Saquon. I'm leaning more towards the franchise tag. That's the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? Rudy T says, pay them both. Keep whatever talent is working for us before going out on external signings. I like that take. I respect that too. That's real right there. I think next year things are going to get a little bit more realistic with a tougher schedule. I think that, it'd be good. This would have been awesome if all this happened in Daniel's third year. It would have been awesome because then you could have used the fourth year to really assess it, and you would know what to do as far as the fifth-year option. It'd be an easier decision. And, you could just make that decision a lot easier moving forward. But being that it's his last year now, you didn't do the fifth-year option. Now you got to make sure that Daniel is the guy in your eyes. I think Brian Daboll has a really good relationship with Daniel Jones. I think maybe, this is just me, being a little skeptical here, that Joe Shane might want to move on from him, but Brian Daboll has built a relationship with him. So I do think there's going to be a bit of a debate and a little bit of a tug of war here to see what they do with Daniel Jones. But nonetheless, Rudy T, I respect that take. I like that. Very objective, I'd say. Bookend Tackles is taking a push. Let me see. Who else we got up in here? Bubs is taking the under. He agrees with the statement on the screen. I like that. Let me see. Rozelle taking the under as well. Okay. Aidenism says that NYG in past hardly re-signed D tackles. Yeah, we saw it with Snacks. And who was the one before? We saw it with Linval Joseph. And I feel like there was Dalvin Tomlinson. Yeah, we saw it with Dalvin Tomlinson as well. That's facts. Let me see what else we got. Diggy in the building. Shout out Diggy, man. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe, man. Diggy's a great content creator, man. I got to go up there and catch up on your stuff myself. He says it's an overreaction. I started off on the other side, but if he's able to be eliminated for a month straight, I can't justify paying him the big bucks. And that isn't really his fault. Yeah, I'm with you on that. You would hope that Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley take team-friendly deals if that's the route that they're going to go. For Saquon, I think you could tag him, and the Giants could, maybe use it as leverage if you want to trade him. But I'd love to see Saquon Barkley back in blue. Saquon's the kind of player I'd want to see retire as a New York Giant, straight up and down. Let me see. Stan says, the way our cap is even after cutting Galladay, I think it's projected to be $65 million, and $15 million has to be set aside for draft class and another $10 million for in-season moves. Tough decisions are on the way, to be honest. Yep, I agree with you on that. That's why they're not paying me to do it, because they got the professionals out there that are going to handle that. The offseason is going to be the best offseason we've had as New York Giants fans in a really long time. I'm going to be keeping my eye on it. You'll see me and the Beard in our first offseason doing content at least monthly, at least. Let me see what else we got here. Lesnar says, if our division was supposed to be the worst, shouldn't the schedule have been hard for us regardless? Yeah, and you look at the division wins. We just got our first division win on Sunday. So it goes to show you that, yeah, this division is tough within it. But also the division that we played against made things a little bit easier for us. Everyone got to see the Chicago Bears this year. The Green Bay Packers kind of fell back down to earth, and weren't that good of a team, so we had some games there. We got to see the Seahawks. They were an unexpected, decent team this year. The Texans, all of us got to see the Houston Texans. That wasn't that great. We got the Jaguars early on this season when they really weren't quite clicking yet, which was really good for us. I think that team beats us today, to be honest with y'all. So there was a lot on this schedule that played to our favor early on. That definitely played to our favor. Definitely. Chris P said that Snacks didn't want to be in NY and wanted a trade. Okay. Dexter's next level. Can't let him walk. That's facts. I definitely agree with you on that. Let me see. Stan says they may want to extend AT and Dexter this offseason before price really goes up. Yep, we talked about that in the spaces, and a lot of people are indifferent. I was kind of in the middle of it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me either way if they go with the deal during the year, if they go with the deal in the offseason. That's a good point you bring up there, though. Aidenism says we should keep Dex. 100% agree on that. Yeah, and Chris Peace agreeing with Bookend on that. That's facts right there. Bookend says, my fear paying running back is more injury-related. I'm with you on that. They take a beating, but Barkley is special. Barkley is a special talent, no doubt about it, man. And I think you got to do what you got to do. Rearrange the money. If you get him back on another year and he proves to be healthy throughout the year, then you can kind of at least not have to worry about the whole injury thing for another season. And then you push it back another year and you can maybe make that deal again, or franchise tag him again, or use him as trade capital. Whatever you do there. I think the right move is going to be to franchise tag him, because I think, I heard Justin Pennick say this, and I thought it was a good point. He said, the Giants have built a team around Saquon Barkley, but they haven't built a team around the running game. Until you can build a team around the running game, I think it's important that you get Saquon Barkley back on this roster. I think that's extremely important. But shout out to all of y'all, man. A lot of good takes here, man. A ton of good takes. Appreciate all of y'all rocking out with us, man. 3 hours. I had to, we went overtime. Y'all know what it is, man. Awthentik and the Beard, the best division in football. Make sure y'all follow us, subscribe. I'm on Twitter at Awthentik, just like that, spelled just like that. Y'all can check me out kind of further the discussion. I'm sure the mentions are going a little bit crazy right now because I was involved in a bunch of conversations early on before I came on air at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, man. But big salute to y'all, man. This was a big win for us, man. Like, I'm ecstatic to see the Giants take care of business when they needed to. Everything else on the line. You lose this game, you're probably not making the playoffs. And I felt that guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and the rest of these guys, Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, our defense, I brought some attention to Jason Pinnock, Tony Jefferson, Azeez Ojulari, like, man, these guys, they felt the urgency, man, and they went up there, they stepped up in a big spot. A win is a win is a win. It was a little bit ugly, needed some things to go our way, but things went our way, and it was a great time to be at that game. I was fortunate enough to see that thing front and center on the first level. We had an absolute blast, man. Chris Peace, it was good chopping it up with you. Good getting to meet you, man, and your fam that you brought to the game. It was a great time, man. Next time, you're right, we all got to sit together for sure, but the tailgate was definitely a vibe. So make sure y'all, for all the new faces, if you want to continue this discussion, like I said, I'm on Twitter at Awthentik. Tonight, in about 3 hours exactly, we'll be live on this channel right here, Awthentik and the Beard, the best division in football, doing the NFC East recap. Make sure you pull up if you want to talk a little bit more Giants football. And until then, man, we end every show like this. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And be your unapologetic self, so that you can bring the people that get down with you closer, and the people that don't get down with you, they can, see themselves far, far, far to the left, man. I appreciate all of y'all that donated to the channel today, all of y'all that vibed with us, that gave your opinion on some of these overreactions. The quarterback discussion today was fantastic. Shout out to the homie Scotty Booms for pulling up one time in the building. Again, we got to catch up. And until then, man, I will see y'all tonight at 7 p.m., man. Y'all be good. Enjoy these couple of hours. Get a good meal in your system. And let's come back and chop it up and talk some more New York Giants football. I'll get up with y'all, man. Y'all be good. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams. Rest in peace. 5 years to the date to Combat Jack, the podcast GOAT. Y'all know what it is. I'll see y'all. Peace.